Welcome back to the Pot of Greed.
Yeah, so we are now officially in year 2.
Year dos.
Year 2 of the Pot of Greed, if you want to view it that way.
Put your twos up in chat.
Yeah, 2s this time. Last year, I say that as though like this is a new year, today.
Hey, I mean that's how when the Yu-Gi-Oh 25th anniversary ends, it'll be a new year. It'll probably be the 26th anniversary.
Yeah, the 26th anniversary will start in 2028.
Yep.
Yeah, no, but this is episode 53. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with us. Remember that we are doing a giveaway of a big ceramic Pot of Greed that's still going on.
Some people are interested in our broken one.
Really?
Yeah, I saw comments. They're like, "Oh, that would be worth more."
I wouldn't mind the broken, taped, or super glued together.
But no, guys, you're gonna get a fresh Pot of Greed.
Yeah, all you got to do is leave a comment with your favorite fandom. That is all. Okay. So, before we get into the festivities being Yu-Gi-Oh! News, and a lot of gaming stories this past week.
Yeah, there's some controversy.
A lot of those. We have a review.
What you got?
So, this one comes to us from Downtown Andy again. Left a new review. I didn't know you could leave multiple reviews, but apparently you can. They gave us 5 stars and said, "It's me again. Congrats on 1 year. Still the best podcast, and I'm really glad you guys tackled the anxious and disenfranchised player topics, because I'm both. I got bored with Pokemon, which is what led me to Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2002. And since then, I've always played some iteration of Blue Eyes. That's just what I like. My interest in the game has come and gone, but when my mom passed in 2019, that's when I dove headfirst and extensively studied the competitive scene and tried to stick with it ever since. I owe my childhood collection to my mom, and this game is always familiar, nostalgic, and terrifying because I've just accepted that I'm going to lose at locals pretty frequently. Because playing Blue Eyes, maybe that can happen.
Yeah, it will happen.
Always on pins and needles waiting for my opponent to finish his turn. But the best part is I'm doing what I enjoy with people I enjoy it with. And most importantly, that we have a place to go do it, which is not always the case in our area. All the best, guys. Your content does more for us older players than you know."
Oh, well, that's nice.
Look at us.
Look at us doing more than we know.
Heartwarming comment. Yeah, no, I can relate to that a lot because sometimes I find myself thinking about like how much I owe it to my mom specifically for like sort of, I don't know, enabling makes it sound like a bad thing, but like enabling my Yu-Gi-Oh! Interest when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Because I was really into Yu-Gi-Oh! Like as a kid, like 2001, 2, 3, all that stuff. And like she would like drive me to the Books A Million that was like 30 minutes away on like most weekends to like just play Yu-Gi-Oh! And like I really didn't even know what I was doing. I just knew I liked it. So it's like, oh, there's tournaments and like people do things and they trade there. And so that was really cool. And she also like bought me packs and stuff.
I mean, I was much the same. We didn't even really know about locals being a thing as kids. My mom, she knew, and many members of my family, they knew I liked Yu-Gi-Oh! They would buy us the, what was it called? The Master Collections from way back when.
Oh, you got the Master Collection? Like the books?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd always
numbers
see
1
them.
and 2.
Yeah, I would see those. I never was able to. Like that was the thing, is like I was never able to really afford too much nice Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff, or like I wasn't like I was working at age 7
I was
or something.
balling as a kid. I had 2 jobs.
But no, my parents never got me too much of like the pricey stuff, but I guess like still just being able to go to those events was always
for
a big
me,
deal.
We never went to the events. Well, we did go to like a Barnes & Noble tournament once. Mm-hmm. That was a horrible experience for my mom, not for me.
Probably so.
I was too young and dumb to realize I'd been scammed. My mom knew exactly what had happened.
Yeah, the parents can pick up on that.
But I remember my family would just be on the lookout for cards, and they would pick them up and then they'd save them to Christmas. That's how we ended up getting like the Master Collection, like 2 Christmases in a row, and then Dual Discs that other Christmas.
Yeah, oh man, you guys got Dual Discs for Christmas? That's awesome. Yeah. I know there was a girl in school who got a Chaos Dual Disc. I remember I borrowed it from her, never gave it back to her. Not like on purpose per se, but like I still have it. Wow. I still have it. I got in contact with her a few years ago.
You walked this back?
And I was just like, yeah, I think I still have this. She's like, oh, I don't remember. So that was a thing. I'm trying to think. I mean, I went to a tournament. I went to plenty of Books A Million tournaments. I went to a tournament at a place called Watertown. It was like a big water park, water park. And they had like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament there, which was like an interesting,
terrifying
combination
place to bring
of
the cards.
Yeah, like we were in this tucked away Like it was like this giant tent area kind of thing. Like it was covered and it was away from the pools. But basically the idea was just that like the kids could duel and then just play in the water park or vice versa or whatever, you know. So that was pretty fun.
I know. Social things weren't Alex and I's strong point, and our parents knew that, so they would not take us to such places very often. Honestly, if we had the opportunity to go to Yu-Gi-Oh meetups, we would just not have gone.
Yeah, I mean, I think Yu-Gi-Oh is the sort of game where it's weird. Like, you can be, at least thinking about it how I thought about it as a kid, I wasn't super social, I don't think, either with it. Like, my sister and I played, so we could always play with each other. And, like, I could always play with friends at school who expressly said that they liked Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, once I got, like, that confirmation, okay, this is a fellow Yu-Gi-Oh person, it was okay. But, like, I would never kind of... I was always uncomfortable throwing myself into, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I like a lot of kids, I think we had our own way of enjoying Yu-Gi-Oh. That was kind of the magic of those early 2000s, late 90s Yu-Gi-Oh days, where we got to have Yu-Gi-Oh at the level we wanted it to be. If you were like a tournament goer and you were very competitive, you could do that. But if you were just a child and you wanted to experience like any other children's toy, you could do that.
Yeah, that's, you know, I know we're expending a lot on this review, but it's actually, it's there's a lot of thoughts here. Like, there's kind of that whole thing that we talked about maybe last week or week before about like how it's regrettable that if a kid was to get into Yu-Gi-Oh today, which I know not that many really are, that I can tell, but like, is that they don't get to experience what we maybe experience, where there's like a period of time to just simply immerse yourself in the IP. Just the idea of Yu-Gi-Oh, liking it, getting cards, because that's nowadays there's like kind of an optimal way of doing that is like you just buy your singles on TCG Player. They have prices that are very known and established.
Kids today, they don't get to be the weird kids who play Yu-Gi-Oh every day before, during, and after class with their like homebrewed decks playing on concrete and dirt. What's a ruling? We have no idea.
Yeah, and like what's interesting about that is it's into the 2-hour podcast. We just talked about this. No, but what's interesting about that is like, you know, people will. That's one reason why I hate when people say Playground Yu-Gi-Oh wasn't real. Because like when they're saying that, they'll always say it like in the sense that yes, in 2005, you know, Chaos Emperor Dragon or something, you know, those cards are always there. Chaos Emperor and Yada, right?
Didn't even know about them like
broken
that.
cards like Delinquent Duo, which like is true. There were tournaments going on as early as 2002 that were having like, you know, there were meta games. The thing is though, Playground Yu-Gi-Oh still existed for most of us because if you were young and you were just at school, you weren't going to tournaments. You were just playing like that. And so it was like, what's that, the wrestling phrase? Like, it's still real to us, damn it. Like, is that this thing from wrestling? Right?
Sure. Sounds about right.
Someone will know. Like, the whole, just because, like, it isn't, like, real Yu-Gi-Oh! Or whatever, it was real Yu-Gi-Oh! In the sense that, well, like, if you were a kid and that's how you were experiencing it, then that was what Yu-Gi-Oh! Was. And so many kids had that like, upbringing, and it just sucked that, like, if a kid were to get into it now, I don't know that you could replicate it.
It can't be done. It can't. I think back to the days of sitting there trying to resolve Clock Tower Prison. It was my only goal for like months straight. Just want to resolve Clock Tower Prison, summon my Dread Master, and then win the game.
Win.
Win.
You know. or something.
Properly resolve Future Fusion. My only goal.
Yeah, and the Future Fusion monster is like nothing special.
It was just Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem.
Which actually, I mean, you know.
That was I had to run Ancient Gears, but that was the goal.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It's just a good comment. Thank you for thanks for the review.
Oh yeah, this was created to Downtown Andy.
Yeah, so thank you for the review. I can relate a lot, honestly, to many of the things in that review. So. Cool. Shout out to Mom for getting me into Yu-Gi-Oh.
Shout out to Mom for signing up for that Toys R Us newsletter.
Yeah, I'm still so jealous that you got the Toys R Us like, little VHS thing.
Yeah, it was special. Still have that VHS.
Mother's Day is coming up this weekend. So
it is. I'm going to get our Yu-Gi-Oh card.
I think I'm actually going. This will be the first Mother's Day now that I've had this conversation where I want to explicitly thank my mom for like just
supporting
my Yu-Gi-Oh interest at the time, not addiction. Maybe went on to become that later.
Thanks for being my supplier, Mom.
Yeah, thanks for being the plug, Mom. I appreciate it. Okay, so this week there's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh updates. Not like, some huge
I wouldn't say
groundbreaking, Konami's changing everything, but some neat things, and a little bit of controversy, I suppose.
A tiny bit. YCS Rio was this past weekend.
Yeah, YCS Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't actually necessarily know that because there wasn't a lot of coverage around the event. But first, let's talk about the winners. Do you have it pulled up?
Yeah. So the winner was Rafael Mariano Reich, running Snake Eyes with Kashtira.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Snake Eyes continuing to do the thing.
It was about what you'd expect. The whole event was about what you'd expect. I mean, Snake Eyes took, I think, half the top 8 spots.
Yeah.
The runner-up was Ruben Penaranda, who was also running Snake Eyes, but it was with Melodious.
I have heard that the Melodious Snake Eye variant's a thing. I've yet to see that in action myself yet. Obviously, this didn't have video coverage, so I would have maybe tried to watch it. I do try to watch most of the YCS kind of finals day live streams. Contrary to popular belief, I like watching a little. It's fun to watch competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, but only the very tippity top of it. I just like enjoying spectating that. I don't really care to just watch.
I enjoy the Twitter coverage.
The Twitter coverage can be fun.
I like the Twitter coverage. Sometimes you get players. Sometimes you have guys who they take on Konami's job of reporting the events.
They really do. They really do. Shout outs to YGO Pro Deck, actually. They are always, scrambling to get those deck lists and have them on the site and be presentable and stuff. Yeah, I saw that this event had about 300 and roughly 380, 390 players, something like that.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Cut to top 32. I saw some familiar names, the Jesse Cottons, Christopher LeBlanc, a few others.
There was Christian Urena, Christopher LeBlanc was there. Yeah, just lots of names.
The people you'd
lots
expect.
Of names.
Paulo Gonçalves, always shout outs to him. These people who are really on the grind.
It never stops. The grind
They
never
will travel
stops.
to these YCS events. They will, they will prepare. And even if it's this is a small YCS by YCS standards. I mean, we've had 2,000, 3,000 player ones, but still, it doesn't mean that the level of competition is any lower. Because once you're in that top 32, I mean, it's still tack sharp.
You're gonna sit down across from a YCS winner, and you gotta
people
strap in, lock in,
Yeah, people are demonic, with their obsession with winning, and so.
But let's talk about the things that people actually care about, and that's what archetypes and decks were represented.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Because people don't care about the names. People don't win at Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks.
Yeah, what deck won? What's the deck list? What's the breakdown?
So, Tenpai got 4 spots in the top 32. Looks like actually they all made it into the top 16. 4 lists for Tenpai. Then Voiceless Voice got 5 spots in top 32. I think they didn't get past top 16. That was Matthias Hiraga who made it into top 16 with Voiceless Voice. We had 1 Despia in top 32.
The brand
they always find their way.
They
will find their way.
Keeps on keeping on.
Pirelli was in top 32. It's
Pearly. It's Pearly. I know.
I mean,
I'm reiterating the comments I've seen.
That's what I see. I see Pirelli. I say Pirelli. And Labyrinth, which was piloted by Jesse Cotton himself.
Pretty exciting. Okay.
So it's a lot of strong deck names you'd expect. Oh, I missed Horus. There was 1 Horus stun deck.
Yeah, that was something I was interested in because I've been actually playing the Horus deck myself.
I looked at the list. It's toxic. But to be fair, it's stun. It's going to be toxic.
Yeah, what was it? Just Horus engine with skill drains and stuff. Yeah,
there were certainly some skill drains. Also, Vanity's Fiend at 3, Majesty's Fiend at 3.
Yeah, oh man, that's rude.
Secret Village of the Spellcasters.
Which actually makes some sense. They do have a lot of Spellcaster cards. I've got a Horus deck right here, guys. Actually, I just wanted to show off.
Guys, it's actually a random stack of cards, and he's just saying it is. Okay, there we go.
Collector's Rare.
That is not a collector's rare.
Or QCR Duomatef.
How dare you besmirch Collector's Rare by calling them a quarter century one of them.
A QCR Imseti would be nice, but it's expensive, so.
Just get 3. What you mean?
Yeah, easy. So that's a cool thing. Now, here's some of the controversy I saw around this event.
What you got?
Is basically just it's not really controversy. I'm being dramatic, but there was not really a lot of coverage around this event. So Konami didn't even actually do written coverage. Like their blog did have posts that were like, "Here is the top 32 pairings,"
but no feature match write-ups, right?
No feature match write-ups or anything like that. Even the winner article I saw was literally just congratulations to the winner, and then it was like his name or whatever, and then like a picture of him, but there wasn't even like a blurb. Like, congrats to him for winning with his Snake Eye Kashtira deck against this many other players. Like, usually they'll at least do that much, but that wasn't even a thing.
Maybe the guy who wrote those was just sick that weekend.
It's possible. I know the whole thing seems to be that like a lot of YCS events that basically aren't North American ones won't get live streams.
Won't.
And it's been that way for a while. I'm not too surprised by that. But the fact that there wasn't even like really any written coverage is a little strange. Like, I mean, I feel like you could at least do that. I saw MBT actually on Twitter was talking about this a bit because he was saying how like what's kind of so traditional kind of wisdom tells us that YCS events are supposed to basically be loss leaders as advertisements for the game. So like YCS events, for people who don't know this, run usually at a loss.
Yep.
Like they're expensive to run and they are barely profitable, if at all. Just, renting out the venue, getting security, getting internet for the weekend and all these different things. And they don't really make like money, right? Nope. You pay some money to enter, you get 5 packs, but like they're not really profiting a bunch off these YCS events. And then in addition to that, the cost of production for like making a live stream is very high. You have to, hire usually a contract with a third-party team, and they kind of do a lot of the live streaming management. Plus, you have to pay the writers, you have to pay the judges. I think they're paid now, and also just like general event staff and stuff. And so these YCS events exist mostly just for kind of a mixture of love of the game, right? Yep. Like you got to give the game a reason to exist, aspirational competition, and also as a sort of advertisement for the products in the game.
Yeah.
Like, here's the big stage, and when somebody wins with Melodious on the big stage, it means now you should buy Legacy of Destruction to get your new Melodious card that you can play with your friends at the card shop next week.
Which a pure Melodious deck did win, or did top. I'd pull it up, but I have lost Wi-Fi.
Yeah, well, so that's basically kind of how it goes. And so some people are like, well, it's expensive to do coverage, but MBT was saying how, if YCS is run at a loss to produce ads for paper product, then surely the utility of that is diminished if there's no coverage. And I find myself kind of agreeing. I mean, like, I do think that if you're going to have a YCS event and just not actually really cover it, it feels a little... insulting's maybe like a strong word.
You might ask, then why have the YCS?
Yeah.
And I think the answer is Europe. They can just not have them.
Yeah, I suppose you're right, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So let's not like get too like deep on this, guys. We don't want Konami to come to that conclusion, because they did it, right? No European YCS for at least a year.
Yeah,
we don't need that. We don't need that sentiment growing any more than it already has.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope they can at least do like the written coverage for these events, though.
Yeah,
because I know like people in Brazil, a lot of these like the South American Yu-Gi-Oh scene. I sometimes hear people talk about how like products are often delayed, and
South America is a bit like Konami's redheaded stepchild.
Yeah,
they claim them, but
yeah, I've heard
like Harry Potter, they're underneath the stairs.
Yeah, the cupboard under the stairs. I think like Konami, I don't doubt that they're trying. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not even necessarily like a Konami thing, but maybe more of like the distributor they work with thing, because that causes problems even in the United States with like sneak peek kits and OTS stuff, and like. People are always like, yeah, it's not even Konami. They don't communicate with us. It's like the distributor that they work with.
Which is also on Konami.
Yeah.
Like, supply chain issues are a real thing. However, you're supposed to resolve those.
It's just weird that they've let it like kind of go this long, because there were people at least as far back as like 6 or 7 years ago like sending me messages just like, hey, I'm a Brazilian player. And, because you may make a video or just talk about kind of the situation of Yu-Gi-Oh! Product in Brazil, because it kind of feels like Konami just doesn't seem to like recognize us. We'll get products like 3 to 6 months late and stuff, and all these things. And I guess there's not like loads I can really do outside of just saying that it exists and maybe hoping that Konami enough buzz about it. Maybe Konami does better, but like,
I mean, at least they're considered an official Yu-Gi-Oh region. There are places in the world that Konami does not acknowledge ever.
Yeah.
Like, and Yu-Gi-Oh players in those regions play like either official cards are terribly expensive and not in their local languages, or they have to just use proxies. And there are entire communities that are just proxy leagues, I found.
Yeah. So, cool. That's YCS Rio de Janeiro. You might not have heard about it until today. Who knows?
But check it out on YGO Pro Deck if you are curious about the breakdown, the list, who won. It's all there.
It's good that you can at least find your coverage somewhere, even if it's not through official channels. So, the next bit of little news is that they announced the World Championship OTS action that's going to be going on the week.
I'm trying to get Wi-Fi on this tablet again.
Here, I can give you. I can hotspot you.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I lost the Wi-Fi. It has not come back.
All right, turning on my hotspot. You know the password and everything. Okay, so what was I gonna say? So they announced a new playmat that is going to be given out on September 7th at OTS stores. It says, in celebration of the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2024 being hosted in the United States this year, the Eternal Golden City 2013 World Championship commemorative accessories will be released as a special release, only available at OTS stores. This will not be available at mass retail or any non-OTS store. So it's that monster.
Is that the turtle?
Yeah, it's Grandopolis, the Eternal City.
Okay.
I'll put up an image of it on screen.
You know, given its name, they should have put like a little Eldritch in there, just like the Golden City.
Yeah, so this was actually the World Championship card for like 2013. And I think it was, the Worlds was in Vegas that year. Like the turtle, it's supposed to kind of represent Vegas, right? Like,
it's slow?
Well, there's a glowing city on its back.
Oh, okay. All right.
So they're re-releasing this, and you'll be able to get it at your OTS store. You can get some sleeves, and you can get a mat on Worlds Weekend. What do we think about this? Because I have thoughts.
Well, it's a very strong replacement for actually being able to attend Worlds. Good job, Konami. I think everyone who wanted to check out Worlds that now can't, they will find solace in these products and these accessories.
So here's the thing about
That's called sarcasm.
Yeah, here's the thing about it for me. I think that it's a good idea to have something that people can get at their OTS on Worlds Weekend.
Which is what they've already been doing.
Here's where I'm like confused. And they've had that in past years too. Like, you know, where you could go to your OTS store on the weekend of Worlds and they would have kind of a similar mat that you can like win in your tournament. That's all fine. I'm confused though because like this is a card from 2013. And I don't like it's the Worlds card from 2013. Like it's not even like its 10-year anniversary. It's like it's been 11 years. I know like years don't work the same in Yu-Gi-Oh,
right?
With these anniversaries.
A prize card from 2013. Paul, do you remember what format we were playing when that was the prize card?
Was this like Dragon Rollers or something?
Paul,
like,
a lot of the players that are playing right now weren't even playing then.
Now, maybe the argument is that like it's a cool piece of history like coming back. I'm sure that's what they would want you to think anyway. But I just think like I know there's going to be a new Worlds card this year, or I assume. So why is that not on the mat? Like, why is it this? Or is this just like one of the things that you can get? Like, is there also going to be a different one?
I have a theory.
What are you thinking?
So I think
this is left in the warehouse.
It's not that it was left.
Okay.
There was a snafu with approving designs for the current Worlds prizes, and they did not come in on time. And so Konami US had to finalize their decision on this product a while ago.
Wow. See,
and so they just had to just pick what they had. And they picked the turtle.
I certainly hope that's not the case. I mean, but you could be right. Like, it's really odd. Like, because it also, I noticed that this mat says World Championship. It doesn't say World Championship 2024.
Paul, so like, I'm telling you, man.
They're playing it really safe.
There was an issue. Because the thing is, there's no reason it wouldn't feature the current prize cards unless...
Yeah, that's really weird.
There was a little bit of a logistical issue.
So, I'm not going to... we can only speculate as to why this is the case. So,
but we don't have to speculate on how disappointing and boring it is.
It's what's a shame about it is I think the monster's cool. Like, don't get me wrong, I think the Grandopolis like turtle is cool. It's just that's not the card this year. Like, that's so bizarre.
This is my issue, and this is my issue with most prize cards and their designs. What does that turtle mean to me as a player? Absolutely nothing.
Here's the thing, too. It would have meant something in 2013 because the city that Worlds was
something.
Yeah, because the city that Worlds was in is like kind of represented in the turtle's back, and it's like a cool thing. And maybe if you were at Worlds in 2013, which you could be, unlike this year, then it would mean even more. But here, it's like literally Worlds isn't in that city. Like,
maybe if it was raining, you could say it's Seattle. Like, oh look, it's raining on a turtle's back. That sounds like Seattle to me.
I don't know. Am I?
Oh, they should put a Starbucks logo on there.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna walk this back some because maybe I'm like I'm taking this all too seriously and like whatever. It's not even that big of a deal. Just.
I mean, these are accessories and products that players didn't have before, so we should be glad with whatever Konami gives us.
Yeah. All right, well, anyways, the next story is the new V-Jump Kuriboh card has been revealed. You might remember that this got, like, the art of it
the art
revealed
was
like a while back.
Detonate.
So, yeah, it's detonating Kuriboh. It's got a really simple effect. If a Kuriboh monster is on the field, you can summon it from your hand, and when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, you can equip this card to that opponent's monster, and its effects are negated. So it's very...
So random.
Well, I think it's supposed to emulate what Kuriboh did to... Thousand Eyes Restrict in Yugi's Duel with Pegasus, where it like, all the Kuribohs they multiplied and like attached themselves to it and then blew up, and that's
so random.
Yeah, it's a cool little anime reference. It's kind of funny because Link Kuriboh just got banned here, so there's one less way you can summon this thing,
which you probably weren't going to begin with. However,
but if you were playing a pure Kuriboh deck, Link Kuriboh is actually like quite relevant in that.
Did you just say pure Kuriboh deck?
No, people play them. There's like a pure... Because remember, Kuriboh has gotten support in the past. You can play a level 1 like Kuriboh-based deck. It's a thing.
You have not seen someone play pure Kuriboh. I refuse to believe
Yes,
it.
I have.
You have not.
See, here's your problem. You
lie.
underestimate how many different Yu-Gi-Oh decks I've seen played in my time.
I've not seen someone play pure Kuriboh.
No, it was a thing.
Call them right now. I want to speak to this person.
It's funny you mentioned that because that deck came about around the time of like the Grandopolis. Like 2013, 2014 was when Kuriboh first started kind of getting new support in the new age. Like roughly around that time. And people were playing this deck. I'm not kidding. It was, what did it use? It was that,
He's dead serious, yo.
No, what was it? It's that level 1 monster. It's like a Jester thing. It used Jester Confit. And then that little level 1, like, Chaos.
Oh my God, yeah. I remember.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, people played that deck. It was a real thing.
Oh God, I remember. Yeah, it was a level 1 deck.
Yeah, it was a level 1 deck, and then like its boss was like Chaos Sorcerer and stuff.
I forgot.
Yeah, man, people played this. I'm telling you, I don't ever doubt people's ability to play something. Like, they will make decks out of this stuff. I'm trying to remember what the other card's name was.
That's crazy. I had forgotten. I remember it was like Kinkabayo and some stuff.
Kinkabayo was one of them. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Yeah, that did happen.
So, I mean, now, obviously, Link Kuriboh would be a pretty big deal in a deck like that.
Banned.
But it's banned now, so hopefully, maybe.
And rightfully so.
The OCG players could maybe use it. I think it's still legal there.
But they have Max C, and that just makes everything worse.
I want to say, though, my favorite part about this card isn't... I mean, that's obviously the anime reference, but is that it's drawn very explicitly like a manga panel. Like, have you seen...
it's been a while since I saw the artwork. I have a kind of a...
Like, the art is, like, literally like how Kuriboh looked back in the manga.
That, like, purple, reddish coloring that it has.
Yeah, and it kind of has the yellow outline and all that. They don't really do that with Kuriboh in most of its...
No, Kuriboh, at least in the TCG and in the anime, has looked very different.
Yeah, they've further and further differentiated them over the years.
To the point where, the Winged Kuriboh, I think its base Kuriboh design is the popular look for Kuriboh. But, our first TCG Kuriboh looked like a gremlin.
Demonic. It was a gremlin. Yeah, it's very...
And its eyes did the, ticking thing for the detonate.
Yeah, its eyes are always kind of scary to me. Like, nowadays they make Kuriboh look so cute, but, like... Before then, I remember like Kuriboh was based, or Sangin was like a corrupted Kuriboh, was what I thought its design was supposed to be. Like a kind of this 3-eyed kind of corrupted Kuriboh. But
I thought it was the Ghost in the Attic thing.
Yeah, I mean that Ghost in the Attic is the vanilla that is either based on Kuriboh or Kuriboh's based on. Yeah.
Which one came first?
Yeah, not 100% sure.
The Kuriboh or the Ghost?
Yeah. Speaking of based on, didn't you have a story about the Blue Eyes that was?
Yeah. I mean, story. It's not really a story.
Like a theory or something.
I was just looking up some stuff for the pod, and I saw there was a Reddit post. People were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh cards that looked like Magic cards, and Magic cards looked like Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And someone brought up this Magic card, Chromium, from like 1994. That they were like, yeah, this is fairly like it's pretty clear that Blue Eyes was based off of this monster. I'm gonna show it to you, Paul, and you can tell us. Do you think Blue Eyes had some?
Oh my God, that's definitely like that's heavy Blue Eyes inspiration,
right? It even has kind of that layered armor design
that's kind of metallic, almost looking.
Yeah,
and it's like blue. Or uses like blue mana or whatever.
It has like the curved neck to like fit within the card border.
It's a very snaky dragon that like Kazuki Takahashi kind of tends to like at least from the
in a
Blue
weird
Eyes.
way. It feels like Chromium is the like granddaddy of all of our dragons.
I mean, it's interesting because a lot of people don't know like Kazuki Takahashi was heavily inspired by like Magic the Gathering with a lot of his early like Yu-Gi-Oh just kind of concepts and designs. So despite the fact that the games are, I guess, like competitors in the market today, and even would have been back when it first released, like
they're more like parent and child.
Yeah, I mean, Magic is like seen as the grandfather of like pretty much every TCG, right?
Which is crazy to think that Magic would be the grandfather of like a manga work. But that actually takes me into my next story. I guess my first one for this pod.
Okay.
So
there's still more Yu-Gi-Oh, by the way. I don't know.
Oh, is there? Oh, sorry. We mentioned Magic. And
the rest is quick.
Okay.
These are some quick things.
Then I will save my transition for later.
Okay. So real quick, they did announce the Seto Kaiba A to Z deck is getting support in Duelist Pack Duelists of Brilliance.
I don't think it's Seto Kaiba A to Z. I think it's just XYZ.
Yeah, it's like XYZ. I guess you can like maybe add it with your ABC deck. Or
People will do it. They shouldn't.
But yeah, so basically, Duelist Pack Duelists of Brilliance is the light legendary duelist set that we will probably be getting later this year, or maybe they'll import it into something or whatever. But yeah, it supports the XYZ Dragon Cannon kind of union deck. Lots of cards. Like there's X Cross Cannon, Y Dragon Airhead or something. Yearhead.
I think they was wanting to use the Y.
And then Z Zillion Tank.
They tried their best, y'all. Don't flame them in the comments.
I mean, it'll all be translated to like whatever Konami changes it to.
Those will be nonsense too, y'all.
And there's also some cool stuff. Like there's a card called Union Controller, which is a sort of union-based fusion card, but it's based off enemy controller, which I thought was
that's cool. I like that.
Cool. New boss monster XYZ Hyper Dragon Cannon, and also they get the spell Union Activation, which is remarkably similar to Thunder Speed Summon. You might remember Thunder Speed Summon being the card.
The Jack's Knight card.
The Jack's Knight kind of card that could loosely tie it with Slifer the Sky Dragon. Well, this card says like if you special summon 3 light machines at the same time while it's in your grave, you can banish it to add a monster with 3,000 or more attack from your deck to your hand and then immediately normal summon it. So it kind of implies you can search Obelisk and like summon Obelisk with Union Activation.
Okay. So that makes me ask this question. I haven't really read their effects. I don't really know how any of them work. Would you say this archetype is more similar to the Shining Sarcophagus archetype or the modern Jack's Knight's Queen's Knight archetype?
Closer to the latter.
Okay.
In that like it's kind of they took Yugi and Kaiba's little trio cards, the Face Knights and the XYZ kind of Dragon Cannon thing. And it's sort of based off of how in the Clash of the Colosseum, like episodes 131 to 134 in the 129 to 134 in the anime.
Why do you know the number?
It's like my favorite duel in the anime. It's like a 5-episode long duel or something, but and kind of allowed them to be functioning decks that can also have some fun and tech in an Egyptian god card.
You got to
find a way to summon them.
Now you can have your own little slice of Battle City at home, y'all.
Yeah. Will these decks be good, bad?
Well, we saw how the Jack's Knight deck.
Yeah, the Jack's Knight deck really
fire.
Yeah.
You got it in your deck box right now, huh?
Oh, I do. That's for sure. No, but these seem like these are going to be like pretty functional cards.
Yeah,
so
I can see that.
Neat. Anywho, that is all the Yu-Gi-Oh!
All right,
for the week
guys.
that I can tell.
Now pretend like the transition I made earlier was relevant here.
Right, okay.
Because the official Magic the Gathering manga is finally coming to North America. Now, the article reads, finally. I didn't know it existed in the first place. But they have the
Oh, you said original? The original Magic the Gathering manga? Is that what you said?
the official.
Official. Oh, okay. I thought you said original. I was like, was there some hidden thing from 1995 or whatever?
So the article actually has the cover image of the manga. And I saw it and I was like, hey, wait a minute. I've seen this before. But I didn't know that this was a Magic manga. If you look at the guy in the artwork, he's holding Magic
the
cards.
Gathering cards.
Now, the weird part is like, why is he looking at the back of the card? Maybe you can assume he's
I think that's
showing
just
it
to
to a
get
friend.
Yeah, we'll say that. I think it's just to get the Magic logo in there.
Yeah, this guy show a little something.
So what's this
something.
about? What's it based on?
So we'll just get into the synopsis. Unlike the recent U.S. Magic the Gathering comics by Boom Studios, which are set in the Magic the Gathering universe, so it's more of a lore story, this is actually set in our world, I think in 1990, I lost the year. I think it's like 1992 or something. So it's set in our world of two middle school students. This is Hajime Kano and Emi Sawatari, who always find themselves competing with one another. Emi being the student council president and an honor student, and Hajime just being kind of smart and competitive. And he would always lose to Emi until he found Magic the Gathering.
Oh, okay.
I should mention that this manga has a pretty funny name. The manga's name is Destroy All Humans. They Can't Be Regenerated.
Okay.
If you've played Magic, you can see how that's actually a pretty clever name for a work. But yeah, I've seen this floating around some very legal manga reading sites.
Yeah.
And I have to give it a try now because it seems everybody wants to have a manga set within reality now.
Do they?
I mean,
don't know, is it a trend?
Like, well, to some degree, we have the Digimon webcomic, which you didn't talk about on the pod as far as when it came out, but that released where instead of being set in a digital world, it's just characters that play the Digimon card game, and then but of course they have a virtual reality system where they can then interact with the Digimon that they're playing, but they're actually playing the card game. There's the OCG Structures manga for Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's just characters playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
Not playing Duel Monsters, they're playing Yu-Gi-Oh. And in this case, it's much the same. Now, it's set in the past, which is interesting, but some might argue that was like the golden age of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. I don't mind that, though. Like, I think this is like probably maybe a hot take. I like when card game media, like manga, anime, webcomics, I suppose, are based in reality. Like, it's just people playing the game kind of in a normal way. Maybe you exaggerated like a little bit.
You gotta do something special.
I remember liking Cardfight Vanguard for that reason. Or at least some of the anime. I don't know how the newer ones go, but like where it's just, hey, we have like a card game club at our school, or whatever. We got like kind of a local card game shop that we go to and we prepare for tournaments. I know it's not probably as flashy as like end of the world plot lines.
God will come down and smite us all if we don't win this duel.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think like it makes for more relatable storytelling. Like you can sort of see yourself in the characters. They go to card shops and buy packs and upgrade their decks and like play after school and stuff, as opposed to like they're like fighting to save the world from darkness and evil and despair. In a weird way, it's a different take on the whole making media as a advertising tool, because there's a whole concept around toy anime, where we made these cartoons just to get people to buy toys, and the Yu-Gi-Oh anime was much in the same, but there has been a shift of, well, what if it's not so fantastical? What if we make it so that the kids and the people of today can see themselves in these characters?
will that make it more likely that they would buy in? And I think that works. I think that marketing idea works better today than it would have maybe back actually in the 90s.
Yeah, I have a hunch though that when it's realistic sort of storytelling like that, probably appeals more to older readers than it does to younger readers. That's just a guess though. I don't know if that's true. Like, because I wouldn't be surprised if basically for kids it needs to be huge stakes and kind of very fantasy holograms or end of the world stories and stuff like that. Whereas for adults, we like at the age we're at now, every anime and manga that you read is like has been like that. And so it's now more refreshing to actually just see your favorite game played normally.
Then again, One Piece does exist.
Well, that's the thing. Like One Piece is crazy and insane, right?
It's insane.
It's wild and all over the place. Whereas like stuff like this feels a little bit more chill and like it's a more grounded. Just I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I don't have any evidence to support that it actually would be more popular among adults or anything.
Get the marketing data.
Yeah, I will get the marketing data. I will take it and I'll report back to you once I have it.
All right, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna run it back to Konami.
Yeah, and then give them the evidence and then they'll make
look, guys, look what you haven't done.
I will say this though, I think Konami should make like OCG structures be like a thing over here.
I agree.
I don't think that would hurt.
Because I mean, in this way, because while I don't think it's getting a physical release, the Destroy All Humans, but it will definitely be in the Viz like manga reading app.
Yeah, they might do a physical release then.
It's possible.
Probably
it's
like
possible.
a limited.
I don't know
run,
who the
limited run thing.
Who's all involved with the publishing of it? Oh, I lied. It's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
On Amazon, like Kindle store. Or?
It just says pre-order now on Amazon, but it says also Barnes and Noble. Which
so there probably is a physical one.
More than likely, because I don't even know if Barnes and Noble does like digital. I mean, they have the Nook. Is a Nook still a thing? Do y'all buy Nooks? Can you read manga on a Nook?
Probably.
I don't know.
Wait, are Nooks the one that have the? Is that like the ones that have like the white paper like?
Yeah,
surface?
it was a competitor to the old like Kindle Fire, or before the Kindle was a Fire.
Maybe you couldn't read manga because like those are supposed to be like very like they literally only support like 2 colors. Like they don't support shading or anything. Like it's just like the color, the screen color, and the text color, and it can only be those like binary. And
I don't even know if the Nook still exists anymore.
I don't think it does.
Like
maybe I don't know.
It's hard to compete with Amazon.
Yeah,
right?
Someone can let us know.
Yeah, let us know if you have a Nook.
But yeah, if you're reading on a Nook right now, you're watching this podcast on your Nook. However that would work. Okay, yeah, sorry, but anywho, the Magic manga. There's one last thing I guess about that is that it seems like they are trying to really like make Magic kind of resonate more for Japanese audiences.
It certainly has room to grow in that hemisphere. Magic is, well, as far as TCG goes, it's decently popular. It's not nearly as popular as it is in the West.
Right. I heard they're doing a Hatsune Miku collab.
Yes, I have something. I have like the product release for the Hatsune Miku Secret Lair release.
I now know the difference between a Secret Lair and a, what is the other one called? Universes Beyond. Now that I've been kind of engaging a little bit more with Magic, the Secret Lairs are like these really limited run sort of releases with just a few cards, but then like the Universes Beyond is like a full set, so to speak. So I got that right, guys? Y'all will let me know in the chat if I did, eh?
Just yell at them in chat, y'all. Anyway, for 17 years, Hatsune Miku has been thrilling fans with her digital performances as a virtual singer. And now, the world-famous digital superstar has added Secret Lair to her world tour. Okay. In the first of 4 amazing drops, what's that? 1 of 4. Hatsune Miku brings her undeniable electricity to a set of cards featuring stunning art from Miku fans from around the world. Inspired by the cherry blossoms and lightning of a Japanese spring, these cards will stun your table in English or Japanese. They made a music video. I'm not watching it, but there's a music video if you guys want to check that out. Okay. But I can show you the Secret Lair Hatsune Miku Sakura Superstar collab cards. And these are, I think, the cards for the first of the 4 drops. Here you go, Paul. Have a look-see.
Okay. Shelter, Miku's Spark, Harmonized. Miku, Lost But Singing. Miku the Renowned, Inspiring Vantage. Huh. Cool. I mean, that's neat. I won't be buying them myself, but then again, I mean, I'm not like...
I've never been a Miku fan, but that says nothing about the sheer amount of ravenous Miku fans who will be scooping this up.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that Hatsune Miku was like still as popular as it is. Like, I always thought that was like something that kind of died in like the 2010s.
I mean, there are people who said about Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I didn't know people still played Yu-Gi-Oh! I thought that died in the 2010s.
But like Miku is actually still very popular, whereas Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not as
running 17 years straight.
Didn't somebody get married to Hatsune Miku?
I think there was a guy who married their waifu, and I think it might have been Miku.
Yeah, it was like a 3D, like 2D hologram thing, and it had like an AI mind.
I think it was like official marriage too.
And there was like I don't know if it was that same guy, but I remember there was like a story where like the service that was like doing it shut down, and he was like very distraught that he would not be able to.
Well, I mean, I think
to his wife anymore.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
He can't
talk to his wife anymore.
2D like.
Are you insinuating that a 2D wife is any less than a 3D wife?
I'm not saying anything. I'm saying he was distraught about it.
Okay.
So
watch yourself.
Yeah, it's okay to have a 2D wife.
Well, I don't like the way you said that. Say that with your chest.
So, what's the next story?
Wow, he's running away, y'all. He's scared. So, I got a Pokemon story.
Do you?
Yeah, people are still stealing them.
Okay.
Yeah, it turns out like we're all just Team Rocket.
Really? I couldn't have guessed that people are still snatching the Pokemon. So, cards, I'm assuming?
Cards.
Okay.
A real-life Yakuza member was arrested after stealing Pokemon cards in a break-in. Crimes involving Pokemon are common, yada, 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 skipping until we get back to the actual story.
SEO bait.
According to a report by Sora News 24, the Tachikawa precinct of Tokyo of the Metropolitan Police announced that they had arrested Keita Saito, who is said to be lieutenant of the Takinagawa family. The Takinagawa family is part of the Sumiyoshi Kai, the second largest Yakuza syndicate in Japan.
Okay.
These are all hard to say for me. Keita Saito was charged with a break-in back in December 2022. On that occasion, he allegedly broke into a house in the town of Ogano and stole 29 items, of which 25 were Pokemon cards. So this was largely a Pokemon card break-in.
Heist.
The stolen items were valued at 252,000 yen. Okay. So that's about $1,637.
Okay. So he was swiping some Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
Stuff.
It goes on to say that he named some accomplice not involved with like his syndicate, yada, yada, yada. And then it goes into some more fluff about how people keep stealing Pokemon cards. But there's another story of,
stolen
in this
cards.
case, an organized crime member getting in on the hot trend.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, when I think about Pokemon, the people who would love Pokemon, I guess there isn't anything to suggest that you couldn't be a Yakuza.
Yeah, I mean, why if Pokemon cards have value and your job is to take things that have value for whatever reason,
right,
then you'll probably end up taking some Pokemon cards. Like, especially if you know that someone's a collector and they owe you money, then
yeah, I wonder what the story behind it really is. Like, I guess like with most crimes, it's probably someone type of thing. So he probably knew who this person was.
I don't think you accidentally break into a place that has
specifically
like $1,600 worth of Pokemon cards.
Take those
because
you'd have to know.
You'd have to know to look for them, right? Unless they have them as prominently displayed with their value.
Yeah, this is worth $100, and it's like just here in your room.
Now, I do think. I'm not trying to dox us, so I think in our area, if we left out just like a binder of just the backs of Pokemon cards, like overnight there would just be a break-in, someone just snatch it, just like, I saw Pokemon, I'll steal those.
What's interesting is I think Pokemon has gained that reputation now, where like if a person sees the back of like a Pokemon card, I think that, and it's displayed in some way, I think there probably is an assumption that like there's value there, and I think that does not apply as much to like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, but Pokemon, like it's like, Like, why is he displaying those cards?
I'd
they
like
must
to
be
do a
worth something.
social experiment. I want to, not in my car because I don't want my car broken into. I want
rent a car or something. Don't rent it. Never mind.
I just want to get like a
idea.
busted car.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't work, but all the windows are intact, and just prominently sit just like a binder of Pokemon cards.
Yeah,
and then they're all going to be like penny cards.
How quickly it disappears.
Yeah, how long until the car gets broken
That'd be a
into.
fun social experiment, and then we like YouTubeify it. We have like 3 different cars. One's got Yu-Gi-Oh, one's got Pokemon, one's got Magic, and like we just kind of like put them all like relatively close to each other. Like go to a mall, right, and like they're kind of in different parts of the parking lot, so they're like reasonably far away, and we just like leave them for a week or something. Or probably wouldn't even take that long.
Oh, and we put cameras inside the car so we can record what happens. We can put little GoPros in there, change out the
YouTube
batteries,
style, a gorilla kind of.
We can see like, do they just take the binder and go? Do they look at? Do they inspect the cards?
Yeah,
Like,
I would be willing to bet Pokemon would be like the first to go,
more than likely,
and Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic. They would eventually go, I think, too. But
I mean, if you put them in a mall parking lot, eventually they'll all get broken into.
Yeah, they're all going to get broken into and go. Yeah, and then like I wonder if we even like took it a step further and looked up like tracked local eBay listings, and garage sale, Facebook Marketplace. See if we can
find someone trying to flip these cheap cards.
Yeah, they turn out they're worth nothing. It'd be someone who probably doesn't know the value.
You'd probably end up on Facebook Marketplace.
Actually, I'd be interested to say one more thing I'd say about that is like the person who took the Pokemon cards would probably be least likely to know they're worth anything. Like they would just be like, okay, Pokemon cards must be worth money. I heard that Charizards are worth a lot.
Right.
Whereas I think the people who would take the Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic cards would probably examine them and kind of like know what the stuff is worth.
Are you saying that criminals who steal Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh cards are more intelligent than criminals who steal Pokemon cards?
I'll plead the fifth. However, I will say this. I think that people who steal Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh cards are probably more informed with those games than people who steal the Pokemon cards.
So are you also saying that Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh players are more criminally inclined?
I think lots of people will take lots of things in this world when given the opportunity. Cool. Well, that's the Pokemon story. Any other card game news?
That was actually all I had.
Well, that's great because we've got lots of fun video game news this week.
A lot of things happen, y'all.
Yeah, you guys, some of this will be things that have kind of already resolved, like the Helldivers 2 sort of affair. So,
are people no longer playing it?
So you might not have known about this, but Sony reverses unpopular Helldivers 2 decision after blistering player reaction. I don't know how much you know about Helldivers 2.
I know the game. I know it's popular.
Yeah, popular shooter, kind of cooperative shooter game where you're fighting for democracy.
I remember when it was in it was in somebody's showcase.
Like a state of
and I was
play,
like, this
maybe.
game looks boring as hell. And then I was proven wrong.
Yeah, apparently it's very good and very popular. My sister's boyfriend plays a lot of Helldivers. Stand down, Helldivers. Your battle is won. Late last week, Sony announced that Helldivers 2, one of the most popular multiplayer games of the year, would require Steam players to link their account to a PlayStation Network account. So if you wanted to play this game on Steam, and you don't even have a PlayStation, you have to still make a PlayStation account and like link it to your Steam account.
That's an annoying
Sony, I guess, mandated this. Well, after a weekend of strong player backlash, including review bombing the game on Steam, Sony reversed course early this morning being like a couple days ago, and will no longer require PC players to link to a PSN account. So the strength of that player reaction cannot be understated. Within hours of the initial announcement, Helldivers 2 received over 14,000 negative reviews on Steam.
Woo!
This number ballooned to over 200,000 negative reviews in the 2 days after, enough to reverse the game's overwhelmingly positive rating to overwhelmingly negative. It says that on Steam.
I do have to question, why not just make a PSN account? Is it that bad?
So here's the issue, is that the review bombing created a knock-on effect for the game's presence on Steam. As the news caught on, players and others pointed out that the PlayStation Network was not available in certain countries. Meaning that the requirement would cause players in those countries to just lose access to a game that they'd paid for. Because you paid for Helldivers.
So you just have to get a refund with Steam. Hopefully you can get one still.
And, well, you know how Steam refunds typically work.
Yeah, and they have very strict...
for under 2 hours or whatever, you can get like a refund. But if not, well...
And Helldivers sounds like one of those games people spent more than just
a few more than 2 hours on. So, yeah, basically, what I don't understand about this is why, like, PlayStation tried to kind of have this requirement. Like, was it for data?
Maybe just want to get them into that PlayStation ecosystem.
Yeah, get you into the ecosystem.
But if they don't have a PlayStation, what's the point of getting them into the ecosystem?
Yeah, so now they did they rescinded the decision. A lot of people have changed their reviews. The game currently is back to a mixed rating. It's a mixture of positive and negative reviews. But
it'd be kind of funny. You bomb the game, you switch up your review to like overwhelmingly positive, like game of the year, greatest time I ever had. It's like you were just saying this game was complete garbage and you hated the developers.
Yeah. Although at least in this case, it wasn't. Helldivers 2 as a game was in no way like different. Like the game was fine. It seemed like it was like a Sony initiative probably, and somewhat maybe independent of the developers. So
I'm starting to think that we're entering an age where, especially in gaming, I think corporations to get as quiet as possible.
Well, just a little bit of foreshadowing for the next couple stories. They're not exactly being quiet, but I think that these days, I do agree with you. Like, it'd be great if some of these corporations would just kind of like, just take like hands off some things, you know? Like, obviously that's like publish the games or whatever, but like, just stop trying to interfere with like players just playing.
It just sounds like people are getting extremely combative with these corporations. Even when corporations aren't speaking, we're still blaming them for things. So I really just think if you have anything to announce or change about a game, go ahead, maybe let the developers, let someone else announce it, let them make the decision.
Well, I don't know. I think that to even say that though is maybe letting them off the hook a bit easily, because typically like the developers are, I guess I get what you're saying. Like the developers will typically, things will be better received if the developers say it than just like a large publisher or like a kind of partner like Sony or something.
I mean, Sony's been catching smoke for all sorts of things, and I don't even know how many of those things they even had a hand in.
I mean, I think like maybe just when games are good and people are liking it, just don't change anything.
Yeah,
like
that
just
is true.
Just don't find a reason. Because again, I don't know why Sony did this. Like this article,
Helldivers has been out for a minute now. It's weird to mandate a change like that could affect so many people.
Yeah, apparently the game had been delisted in 177 countries where PSN was not available. Now, apparently Steam was issuing refunds to players beyond the typical refund window for this specific instance. So at least there's that. But, yeah. On social media, players questioned how this all happened. Though the PSN account linking was always planned for the game and indicated on its Steam page. So apparently this was something that in the fine print, they'd said that this was going to be a thing. It's been written that the unstable condition of the game's launch forced them to delay implementing that requirement. So he also stated that he is in Pilestead. That's, someone said Pilestead. Who is this? Okay, that's Arrowhead Game Studios CEO Joanne Pilestead.
Okay.
People who made Helldivers 2. Pilestead wrote that the unstable condition of the game's launch forced them to delay implementing the requirement. He also stated that there were apparently internal discussions with PlayStation about how the requirement would anger fans.
How do you spell that name?
P-I-L...
The first name.
Johan.
Johan.
Okay. I thought it was Joanne. Okay. Yeah, it wouldn't be Joanne. Johan.
Well, I just had a feeling. I was like, I wonder if that's Johan.
Yeah, because Joanne would be like Joann.
At least the way we spell it in the States.
Okay, so Johan Pilestead.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds better. Yeah, so apparently they kind of knew that this wasn't going to go over well. And,
or maybe it was a secret Sony plot to bait players into the game. And then just to like spite people, rip it away from them. Now you have to either leave your country or you have to just take the L.
You have to leave your country. Yeah, I don't know. I just think like, I guess in this case, if they had planned to do it from the start and it was in the fine print, then I understand they felt like, okay, well now the game's stable, we're gonna move forward with this requirement. But like, it just feels like in the modern gaming landscape, it's so easy to fuck up. You know what I mean? Like as a game developer, like what you were saying, like it's easy to say something off base or like implement something that pisses people off. I think like if you got a good thing going, just leave it be.
But corporations can't do that, Paul. They run headfirst towards these fuck ups. It's honestly amazing just how aggressively and easily they just like ram their heads against walls that didn't have to exist.
Yeah. So, well, speaking of unhappy game corporation news things,
it gets worse.
Microsoft closes Redfall developer Arcane Austin, Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Gameworks, and more in devastating cuts at Bethesda.
Wait. So I don't know too many of those studios, but I do know about Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, you might actually remember that Hi-Fi Rush...
It's a spiritual successor to the Jet Set series, and one that was like fairly well received. I didn't really hear anything negative about Hi-Fi Rush. You're telling me that the studio that made Hi-Fi Rush has already been shut down?
Yeah, so in an email sent to staff this morning, head of Xbox Game Studios Matt Booty announced the closure of several game studios, including Redfall developer Arcane Austin, Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog Games, and more. According to the email, as first reported by IGN, Booty wrote the reason for the closures was due to a, quote, reprioritization of titles and resources.
Ooh, yeah. He just said corporate bullshit.
Yeah, downsizing or something like that. Some staff at the affected studios will be relocated, while other studios will be completely shut down. So, Redfall developer Arcane will close with some members of the team joining other studios to work on other projects across Bethesda. Redfall's previous update will be its last, as Microsoft is ending all development on the game. Servers will remain online for players to enjoy, and we will provide make-good offers to players who purchased the Hero DLC.
I love corporate bullshit.
Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Gameworks is closing, and it doesn't appear that any members of the team will join other Bethesda studios. So they're all just out of a job. Hi-Fi Rush will continue to be available to players on the platforms it is today. Hi-Fi Rush only just debuted on PS5 recently after receiving multiple accolades, award nominations, and critical praise. You might remember in an interview, Aaron Greenberg, Vice President of Xbox Games Marketing, wrote on Twitter, this is last year I believe, that Hi-Fi Rush was a breakout hit for us in all key measures and expectations. Mm-hmm. Yet somehow it is still... the team that developed it is still out of there. Alpha Dog Games is the third studio closure today, the developers of the mobile Mighty Doom game. So they say I haven't heard of this game, but Mighty Doom will be sunset on August 7th and will be turning off the ability for players to make any purchases in the game. Microsoft is also moving the team at Roundhouse Studios into ZeniMax Online Studios to work more closely on the Elder Scrolls Online. Booty admits these changes will be, quote, disruptive to Bethesda as a whole. So,
I think we're focused too much on the wrong things here. Because I can already tell where you're headed with this. Your focus is completely wrong. We have to focus on the positives of all this, and the positive is that despite all these people losing their jobs and these games shutting down or being kind of put on some type of a hiatus, Microsoft still owns them. So that's what's really important, that these are all things Microsoft owns now. So they can do what they want with them. And it's wonderful because Microsoft wasn't even there for most of their inceptions.
Yeah. So, you'll remember a few years ago, I think, when Microsoft purchased Bethesda. I remember this was like a really big deal in the gaming industry because it was like, I guess if we rewind some, Xbox has had a bad reputation for not having really a lot of strong first-party titles and like exclusives.
Their exclusives weren't hot.
And so Microsoft purchased Bethesda, and it's like I'm reminded of Activision purchasing Blizzard and Microsoft, all that stuff. So it seemed like that was kind of all that was about, right? It's just they're going to buy these studios, and then maybe their games can be like Xbox exclusives or round out the Xbox library, and it'll be great fun for everybody. Well, Hi-Fi Rush was well received. They even said it exceeded our metrics or whatever. But the team behind it, not enough. Because the team behind it is getting shut down. And I think that this really corrodes a lot of trust. So the gaming industry has been having layoffs across the board over the last, really even longer than a year. But this is probably one of the more high profile ones. And I think it just kind of, it erodes trust. Like, because now it's like, okay, if a game underperforms, like in sales and stuff like that, and reviews, the team will probably get axed. But also, that the game does well, it might still your team might just get axed. So, what are you to do? Like, if you're working within the gaming industry, I feel like the job security is feeling kind of shaky right now, and it feels like it's a attack on creativity. Because it's like, you can make a really cool, like, artistic, games are like artistic expression, right?
Yes.
You can make something that's cool and people like it and you're proud of it, and it's still...
Well, you have to remember, you're making something for a large corporation. Even if you weren't making it for them when you started making it, heck, Microsoft now owns your titles. So... there's actually no loss there for Microsoft. Microsoft still gets to own Hi-Fi Rush and all these other titles that were made by these studios. They just cut off the bums that leech off their paychecks, you know? Like...
He's being sarcastic, people, for anybody. I know, like, people don't always read your sarcasm and they'll get angry in the comments. We're being sarcastic.
I am being sarcastic, guys. But this is corporate bullshit in its purest form. Many industries have suffered from this. In the comics industry, I've seen it. In the art industry, the music industry,
certainly in the movies.
Yeah, Microsoft owns Hi-Fi Rush. They don't care about the people that developed it. Microsoft gets to they get all the profits from its sales. They get all the accolades from its awards, but they don't want to have anything to do with the people that made it, because as far as they're concerned, oh no, we made Hi-Fi Rush. It's got the Microsoft label on it.
I think what also sucks too is the fact that, like, I had a good point I was going to make. Well, either way, I'm going to read what some more of what he says here. These changes are not a reflection of the creativity and skill of the talented individuals at these teams or the risks they took to try new things. I acknowledge that these changes are also disruptive to the various support teams across ZeniMax and Bethesda that bring our games to market. We are making these tough decisions to create capacity to increase investment in other parts of our portfolio and focus on our priority games. Bethesda remains one of the key pillars of Xbox, with a strong portfolio of amazing games and thriving communities. As we look to the future, there's an impressive lineup of games on the horizon. In 2024 alone, we have Starfield's Shattered Space, which I guess is like a DLC expansion thing, Fallout 76 Skyline Valley, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and The Elder Scrolls Online's Golden Road. As we align our plans and resources to best set ourselves up for success in this complex and changing industry, our teams across Arcane, Leon, Bethesda Game Studios, id Software, Machine Games, ZeniMax Online Studios, and the Bethesda publishing and corporate teams will be well positioned to build new IP, explore new game concepts, and expand on our existing franchises.
Pass me the rock. Pass me the rock. I got something to say.
Listen, go ahead.
All right. All I really heard from that is we are downsizing so we can focus on our AAA titles that we really want to promote that'll make us the most amount of money.
Yeah.
However, in the last 2 and 3 years, we've seen that the quality and reception of AAA games has been all over the place because corporate interest has not really aligned that well with player preferences.
Right.
We've seen many studios whining about their AAA games not being well received because they come out with these steaming piles instead of an actual entertaining game. What Microsoft has done here is they bought up a large studio that supported a lot of smaller works and indie games.
Yes.
And then they cut them all off to focus their efforts
AAA.
onto AAA titles, it's a weird kind of feedback loop where we're leaning into the issue with the gaming industry and cutting off the living, breathing part of it that people still enjoyed and loved.
Yeah, it's very much like they're just trying to funnel everything up to the top, where it's okay, we're gonna make these AAA games and give them DLC and whatever else, maybe
all
a
live service
thing,
games,
whatever, and focus a lot on that. And it's not to say that live service games are all bad; there are good ones.
Fortnite,
but and we're just gonna crush anything underneath, anything that's not, because I'm guessing Hi-Fi Rush, well received, maybe just wasn't profitable enough. And they realized that those people, we can have maybe some of these people and some of these companies work on some AAA games, and the rest, whatever, we're just bye. Like, figure it out. It really sucks. Also, earlier this year, Microsoft laid off 1,900 employees across Xbox Game Studios and the recently acquired Activision Blizzard. It's not known exactly how many employees are affected by today's closures, which add to what has been an almost continuous cadence of... There goes main camera.
All right, we started back up.
Which adds to almost a continuous cadence of layoffs and closures within the video game industry for the last 18 months. So, I think this in particular, there's been like industry layoffs across the board.
Yeah.
This much is true. It's been kind of happening to a lot of different companies. So this isn't Xbox exclusive or Bethesda exclusive or Activision exclusive, although like Microsoft now owns all of those. Anyway, it's more like, to me, what it tells me is like, if you're a small studio and you have like the choice in whether or not you get bought by a large studio, don't do it. Like, I saw someone on Twitter, I don't remember who this was. I might pull up the tweet if I can find it, but like, was like, yeah, I have this small indie studio and like EA offered to buy us, but this is why we said no. Like, if you ever have a choice in the matter, it's best not to be bought, because like these large studios will like squeeze an extra game or two out of your studio and then like let them go, discard you.
So there's a macro and a micro scale to this. I think on the micro scale, they're right to say, yeah, don't do it. It's for the best if you stay independent. On the macro scale, I think it is for the best to follow into this corporate wormhole, because it's a weird cycle. Your independent studio makes some great work, some interesting and innovative ideas, to the point where you get the notice of these corporate overlords. So they use their vast amount of money to make the offer to buy your studio, and you give in because you're poor. They flood you with resources to make like one or two more games, and then when those games receive their awards and they're very popular, you get your layoff notices. So now you're back into the workforce. You now form new indie studios. You make some more indie works that are innovative. Yeah. So in a weird way, it's not it's bottom up innovation, where the indie studios are innovating new and interesting things. They get bought by the top level studios, or the corporations that make use of them, spit the people who came up with the ideas back out into the world, and then they do it all over again. See,
that's shitty.
It is. It's dystopian.
It's very dystopian and terrible. I think the best thing I can say about it is this. If you're a small studio getting purchased by EA or, Activision or Ubisoft or something like that, could be good in the short term, in that like you might see a pay raise. You might see more funding for your next thing that you're working on. And when your studio gets inevitably broken up and discarded,
redistributed,
some of those people on that team might win, in a sense. Like, they might be like put into products for other games and like stay around, and it's like fine. Others will be lost. I want to be very clear when I say that it's not like a good thing. Like, this is a great system. Just, you're working your way into like corporate America and getting discarded.
It's a consistent way for Microsoft to get new talent and spit out their old talent, but it's also a great way to create new innovation from all the people you discarded before.
Right.
That's sarcasm, people.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't love the sound of this. This one really sucks. And the last thing I'll say too is that like this, to me, like just tears apart Microsoft's reputation. I mean, like, it has not been good. Microsoft's reputation over the last, I would really argue, 10 years has not been good. I think it started with the DRM controversy around the Xbox One, like back in 2012, 13, whatever. And it's kind of only gone downhill since, with this idea that they don't really have very many good, like, exclusive titles and stuff. And in these last 5 years, they have been buying studios, still not having much to show for it. Games like Starfield that have not done really well, and like Redfall. And now it's just closures and layoffs. And it's like, if Microsoft owns, like how like the Crash Bandicoot IP, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the characters I really like. Like, Microsoft owns Crash Bandicoot, and I don't trust in their,
Wait, they do?
Yeah, because Crash Bandicoot's owned by Activision, and Microsoft owns Activision.
Holy
now.
snap.
At least if I still have that right. But yeah, and so like the thing, same with Spyro.
I've thought about, to me, those are Sony games from like way back when.
Sony, right? But like, they're owned by Activision, because they originally, it was like Naughty Dog. They've gone through like different ownership. But currently Microsoft has them, and it's like, that they probably aren't going to do anything with like
They made a Crash Bandicoot like
collection or something.
There's a Crash.
There was Crash 4. There's a new racing game, nitro fueled.
What's it called?
Oh,
the Crash Bandicoot Battle Royale thing, the hero shooter type thing.
Yeah,
did that come out? Whatever happened to
Crash
that?
Rumble. It came out last year. Got like zero press of any kind, and I think I saw it's going to be sunsetting like soon or sunset recently.
I was so upset that game existed.
Let me look that up actually, because I
was like, that's not the Crash we wanted.
Let me see, Crash Rumble. Yeah, it's developed by Toys for Bob, published by Activision, and yeah, it ends ongoing support, and this is like reported in February.
Well, that's that. I mean,
so they will not be updating the game anymore. Yeah,
because who won a live service Crash Bandicoot like team shooter thing?
Yeah, we wanted platformers or maybe like a new racing game.
I would have said I would have taken a platformer or a racing game. I could argue that I'd want more of like even like an RPG style game, but not that.
Yeah, so Crash Team Rumble, it's gonna have its live support ending. It's getting its final update in March 2024. That was like a few months ago. No further content planned for release. The game did not do well. No one talked about it or cared. So
I don't think a Crash Bandicoot enjoyer is
interested in
like a team
hero
shooter thing.
Yeah, so that's some really sad news. Like it just the Microsoft thing, it sucks.
Now, but given what we've heard so far, so Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, who has the best reputation in the console wars now?
It's really funny you mentioned that. Nintendo recently announced that they're going to be announcing the Switch 2.
Oh, they're winning. They're up.
Within the next year.
Oh, okay. So what was this? I'm so confused.
They made a tweet. It was kind of funny, like 3 a.m. in the morning.
A tweet of an announcement.
We will make an announcement about the successor to Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. That's to say before March 2025.
Okay. Is there more?
It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of Nintendo Switch back in March 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024, but please be aware there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation. So, yeah, Nintendo has announced that they will be announcing the successor to the Switch within the next year.
I know we keep using the word Switch 2, but because they keep saying Nintendo Switch successor, what if it's not a Switch at all?
We don't know. We do not know. I mean, there have been like the Switch 2, Switch HD, whatever rumors have been like circling on the internet for the last like 2-3 years.
What if it's just a normal console? What if like for the first time in Nintendo's storied history, they just make a regular console that's not weird or like strange at all? No motion controls, no 3D, no.
Well, you know what's interesting is I've heard like just the general summation of the rumors that I've heard is that like it's pretty much just gonna be like a better spec'd Switch, like a redone better spec'd Switch. Don't know if that's true. So like it's just better quality screen, but same like form factor,
like no
better
weird
graphics
controller.
and resolution
just like,
and stuff.
Just like a very boring console.
I think they saw too much success with the hybrid form factor though. Like the whole you can play it mobile on the go, and then you can also just dock it, and now it's like a console.
I would argue that they would have seen success with a normal console too. I think every Nintendo console will sell.
I think they all. Well, no, the Wii U proved that wrong. Though.
But that was a marketing issue. Like because if it was just a Wii, it would have been fine.
The thing is, though, actually, the Wii wasn't the first like failure. The GameCube actually was not a very successful Nintendo console either.
A soapbox that I'll never get off of is the Nintendo GameCube was the hottest console ever.
It was for a lot of people the most like memorable, formative one. For me, it certainly was. I had a GameCube. I didn't have a PS2 or an Xbox.
It was iconic. The GameCube was weird.
Yeah, I briefly had an Xbox, but it obviously wasn't in the same tier of coolness. Either way. Whatever this next Switch successor is, it seems like right now Nintendo is the only company that's got something like positive to say right now. And that's funny when we say that because like they've been coming off of, a lot of stories of shutting down like that big emulator, Yuzu or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They're always kind of known for shutting fan games down and that sort of thing. So, like, there's that. But at least in, like, the macro mainstream gaming sense, it feels like Nintendo is doing pretty well. Right. They have not announced...
Except with making new Star Fox games.
Yeah, they haven't been making too many of those.
They don't do that.
Yeah, so, they have not been announcing, like, layoffs and closures of studios. Which
and where's
Sony
that new
and
Metroid
Sony
Prime?
Yeah.
They haven't announced that either.
Yeah, that probably won't even come out on Switch now that I think about it.
Because they hinted at it. I'm just wondering. It's been a while.
Yeah, so... any thoughts on, like, what you'd like to see in a new Switch? So you want it to be like a console, as opposed to
I would rather just a regular boring thing.
I think that I don't mind the Switch's form factor, but I do think that, like, for me, what I would like to see the most is better build quality and, like, stuff like that. Because, like, the Switch is kind of just this, I don't know, call it like a cheap plasticky thing, but it's very plasticky and stuff. And I think that, like, maybe some more modern production, like, build quality might be good for it.
To me, that's why I actually prefer just a boring humdrum console. I feel like the gimmicks distract Nintendo or prevent them from actually pursuing the, like, just the more solid hardware, the, like, pushing for, like, better specs. Because I think they're so focused on these gimmicks, these, like, little, like, marketing gymnastics things. And I'm like, why don't y'all just make a regular console with, like, regular specs?
Yeah.
Just put Mario on it. It'll do crazy numbers.
That's probably true. I'm not sure. The thing is now, though, it seems like people are more and more so getting into this idea of kind of being, and this is more of a just general gaming thought, platform agnostic. It seems to be the kind of way to go now, where basically you're not beholden to playing your games on any one place. Like, you play Fortnite on your PC, but you can play with, I've
played on a Switch. I've played on a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. And you've played, and you can.
I've played in VR.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can play Fortnite with, like, your brother who's playing on his Switch.
Which one?
Or your other brother who's playing on his PS5 or whatever, right? Like, you can all play together.
I play with my other brother on PC.
Yeah, and it sort of feels as though with gaming, that's just the new thing, is like you can kind of play things in a lot of different ways and a lot of different form factors as well. Like, we've seen that rise of, like, the Steam Decks, the ROG Ally, where it's kind of the portable gaming PC style thing. And so I think that with it, if you think about it that way, it's probably in Nintendo's best interest to kind of keep that Switch form factor so you can compete on both fronts. Because the Switch sort of competes with the Steam Deck indirectly, I would say, but, like, competes with the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally, while also vaguely competing with, like, the Xbox and the PlayStation. And it beats all of them because it just sort of does a lot of what all of them do.
It's the only place you can play the new Pokemon games.
And the Mario and the Zelda.
Breath of the Wilds and stuff. Yeah, you can, like, get your illegal, like, emulators and ROMs for them and stuff. But, like, at the end of the day, Nintendo's catalog of games is stronger than any other, like, companies. And that pushes their hardware, I think, more so than the gimmicks does.
Yeah. Well, the thing is also they're allowed to get away with not having amazing graphics because the games are good and they're exclusive. And
that's why I wish they would just get away from the gimmicks and just make the solid piece of hardware and just take those IPs and bring them into the 21st century finally.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that they've realized they don't have to. Because, like, the Switch has outsold everything. Like,
get ready for your rubber Switch 2.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that the main thing I don't need the Switch to be like this, 8K supercomputer gaming machine. I just want it to, like, have a very bezel-less screen, like, kind of more modern conventions of, like, form factor architecture.
I feel like we're saying the same thing. You just don't want to commit to the humdrum boring console.
But see, the thing, I still want it to be portable.
Ugh.
I like that I can, like, play my Switch on the plane.
I want them to make separate devices, one handheld.
I think that's not.
That's more sales for them.
I think it's less.
What do you mean? You know how many people owned the a Wii and the what was it at the time? The 3DS,
probably. Or the DS,
Like
likely.
a lot of people had both. That's 2 sales instead of just 1.
Maybe. We'll find out before 2025.
Yeah, we will, because that's the window for the announcement
Before April
of the announcement.
2025, anyway. What do you think of the whole announcement of an announcement? That's always a funny thing to me.
It's such a Nintendo, such a Japanese thing to do.
I don't even think it's a Japanese thing anymore. I feel like
Do you think all companies do it now?
I think a lot of companies are just like, here's the announcement of the time when we will be announcing.
Because now I think about it, I've seen so many announcements for like movie trailers. Like,
and
the trailer's coming out in 2 weeks. Like, why are you telling me this?
The trailer will drop on this date, and it's kind of like, it's like the trailer will drop on this date. So it's like, okay, thanks. You couldn't just drop the trailer. I mean, so I don't know. Yeah, it's not a problem. It's just like weird.
I mean, I imagine there's some
get hype over the fact that you will be hype later.
Like, I imagine there's some like marketing logic around the like tent poling the tent pole.
Yeah,
it feels excessive, but there's some marketer out there like this is the most efficient strategy.
I think it. Actually, I will say this. I think in the modern age of the internet, where things move so fast. And like people's attention spans kind of don't linger on stuff for super long.
I don't even remember what I watched yesterday.
Right. So it's like the announcement of the announcement works because the announcement of the announcement is a wave of media coverage. Then the lead up to the actual announcement is media coverage. Mm-hmm. Then the announcement happens, and then there's like kind of so you have to really maximize that amount of like points of contact with people's.
It does help the blogs
zeitgeist.
Schedule out their like repeated nonsense articles.
Yeah,
because they know they have the timeline.
Yeah, they know. Yeah.
They know when they're gonna get their next hit of information to make their next batch of nonsense articles.
Yeah, so interesting. Well, anywho,
but luckily those articles help feed our pod.
Oh, do you have one for us next?
No, that wasn't a transition, but I just thought it was funny. It's like, you know what? That is kind of what this pod profits off of.
The nonsense, BS, profits. I realize we don't even have like any like we've never gotten like ads on this podcast. Nope. We don't have a Patreon.
Do you guys want a Patreon?
Some people like Patreons for these podcasts.
Like, I don't know what we'd offer. Yeah, we can give you guys Paul's old undershirts. Like,
no.
Why? What, Paul? I mean, you have them. You might as well just.
What's your next story?
So, because we're gonna continue this trend as we continue this trend of corporate bullshit stories and video games.
I can hardly wait.
Let me get the original going because this one's not loading. So EA is considering in-game ads because it went so well last time.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like I've heard this.
Yeah,
have they tried this?
Yeah, and they're not done. So
they're not done.
Electronic Arts, the publisher of most sports games on the market, Battlefield, Mass Effect, and plenty of other huge franchises, is considering putting ads inside its video games as another source of revenue. This isn't the first time the company has done this, but given how poorly it's gone in the past, it's surprising that EA is still giving it thought.
Is this the thing where they're like gonna do where it's like we're gonna show ads on the loading screens or something? Is that what this is?
We're gonna find out because I don't know.
Okay.
News of this came from the company's May 7th earnings call, thanks GameSpot, in which EA CEO Anderson Wilson was asked about dynamic and insertion within AAA games, and if he thought this was a possible source of cash flow for the game. Wilson said EA sees advertising as a possible, meaningful driver of growth, but wants to be thoughtful about how ads could be implemented into its games. His full quote on the matter reads as follows.
Oh boy.
I think it's still early on that front, and we have looked over the course of our history to be very thoughtful about advertising in the context of our play experiences. But again, as we think about the many, many billions of hours spent both playing, creating, watching, and connecting, and where much of that engagement happens to be on the bounds of a traditional game experience, our expectation is that advertising has an opportunity to be a meaningful driver of growth for us. We'll be very thoughtful as we move into that, but we have teams internally in the company right now looking at how do we very thoughtful.
Okay, listen, I've heard enough. The point is, They're gonna throw in ads in your video games.
Yeah,
right?
like guys, like they're gonna do it again. Like they're not done.
I swear,
it's like that meme. I got one more in me.
Why?
EA always has one more.
Why is it?
in them.
It's always EA and Ubisoft and stuff. Or if it's not EA throwing ads in your games, it's Ubisoft selling you NFTs in your games. It's like,
or making everything live service.
God, listen. I don't. So do they say in the article like just what the intention, like how the integration would be?
Basically, the idea is they asked him about ads in games, and he did everything he could to not say no.
Yeah,
but he's like, "Look, guys, we're gonna do it, but just know we are being really thoughtful about
it. Instead of complaining about it, here's what we're gonna do: we're gonna take a positive spin on this story.
Ooh, all right. First time.
What is the most? Like, what sort of integration of ads in your game would you be most tolerant of? And I'll also answer as well. Like, is there a way that ads could be put into your video games that would not, like, that you'd be like, fine? Or is there a way at all?
All right, check it out. So, if I'm playing Battlefield, right? And let's say it's Battlefield set in World War II.
Yeah.
If there are ads for products that were sold during World War II, that products that no longer exist, I would like that.
You'd like, yeah.
Ooh, in Cyberpunk 2077, it's a whole like cyberpunk world. There are ads for like dystopian future products all in the game. I like those ads.
But like today.
So if there's a game set in 2024 in Louisiana, and I see an ad for like a product that is sold in Louisiana during this year, that's cool.
Yeah. So you wouldn't mind like relative sort of time sensitive, like if it's something.
Yeah. Like if a game is set in Iowa in 2024 and they have an ad for a product sold in Iowa of this year.
Yeah. That's
within lore, and I have no problem with it. So you want it to
be, yeah. No, but okay.
Don't you put Doritos and Mountain Dew ads just randomly in my space faring game. Not faring.
Here's what I was going to say is the most tolerant I could probably imagine myself being of ads is, you know how in the Street Fighter like tournaments, they'll sometimes do like advertising in the backgrounds of stages I saw? Or I don't know if it's Street Fighter that does this, but some fighting game.
I'm so mad that you brought that up because I was just thinking how I hate that Capcom advertises their Capcom Cup and things and their Pro Tour in the game.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool.
Hate it.
Yeah, you're not a fan? Mm-mm. I think it's okay because it's like the parent company that like made the game, so I mean, I think that's where I'm like, it's their
There's
game.
There's no Capcom Pro Tour in the lore of Street Fighter.
Yeah, so you don't want the lore kind of being broken is what I'm gathering. Yeah.
I want to be fully immersed in my games.
That's one I can kind of understand. I also, when it comes to the NBA 2K games and stuff like that, like if there are ads on those courts, that actually is in lore because literally those courts will have like a Coca-Cola,
Makes perfect sense to me. Why change it?
So I think I'm like willing to accept those.
If I'm playing like a NASCAR game and they have like ads on the cars, I don't have a problem with that. That's just normal to me.
I think that's the most I can probably tolerate. I know one thing I heard about is, I thought this was what the EA story was like the ads and loading screens or something.
I never want to see an ad on a loading screen.
How opposed? So you're saying like
completely against.
Yeah, I don't think I would want it. But I think that's probably the first place that they will try.
If I pay for your game and you show me an ad, I'm getting a refund.
Yeah.
I'm never going to pay for someone to show me ads. That's just not.
Yeah.
Now,
currently you probably are doing that.
I do pay for Amazon Prime, and Amazon Prime Video does show ads.
Doesn't Hulu still show ads?
I don't pay for Hulu.
Okay.
If I had the choice to pay for Hulu, I would pay for the ad-free Hulu.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I get you. I mean, I'm pretty averse to ads. I think that they're going to try to find, because what I'm really hearing in this guy's quote is like, we're going to be thoughtful means what's the least intrusive thing that we can do that players will not complain so much about. And one other thing that actually came to mind for me, and here's an interesting proposition.
All right, what you propping?
And seriously, consider this.
I will. For once in this pod, I'll be serious.
Would you pay, so say there's a $70 game.
70, okay, that's regular.
Would you be willing to pay to get the game for free, but there will be ads in it. Is that something that you'd be willing to pay?
AAA game, right?
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, or any AAA game that you want. You can Spider-Man 2, Cyberpunk 2077. You do not have to pay the $70, but you will get ads in loading screens.
If the game is free.
Yeah, it's free. You won't pay a penny. There will be ads in
I'll take
the
the
loading
ads.
screens.
You know, in fact, I'll do you one better. If the game was $5, I'll take the ads.
Okay. So that's what I was asking is like, what is like the just tolerance level? Because the reason I thought of that is in smartphones, that's a big thing. Mm-hmm. There are like a lot of these really cheap or damn near free smartphones. They're especially prominent in like, China and other places like that. But even like the super budget phone level here, where you can get a well-spec'd smartphone for like $100.
Right.
And there's like ads in it though. So you'll have to kind of watch an ad like on your home screen or something like that. And some people have found that like they're willing to pay that. Like especially if you're, if you're on a real budget, like you're really very like financially, strapped, that can be an option to get access to a good smartphone, like a good modern smartphone with modern smartphone features for a price that's extremely affordable, and you just have to tolerate, bottom row ads or something like that.
Like, I don't mind being shown ads for something that I'm getting for free or at a huge discount. Mm-hmm. What I don't like seeing ads for are things I pay for. That's one of my issues with like cable television.
Yeah.
Why am I paying you for cable and you're showing me ads? Especially given the frequency at which cable television shows ads, I'm paying to watch a lot of ads.
Yeah.
Like, nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
So that's, I think that's probably the best they could hope for is maybe like if you offer that game as a discount. Here's the thing though, we know they're not going to do that. Like they will never offer the game for less.
Now, well, moving into this like the live service era, corporations keep trying to get us to pay for live service games, and I don't know why they keep doing that. Like it seems every time they want us to pay for a live service game, it fails almost. Not all the time, but a lot of times it does.
I was gonna say, I think it works.
Like, okay, with sports games, it always works. But like, you know how hard it was to get people to buy into Destiny? Like,
yeah,
it was difficult.
So you're talking about like the pay to get in, like pay for the game. Yeah, like, that's a tough sell.
It's very difficult. I prefer a subscription. If you really want to monetize it, I think subscriptions are probably the way to go. If you have to monetize your live service games like that, I'd rather them go for a subscription than throw up a fat like $70 paywall.
It seems like the strike zone they found is the battle pass.
Where
you can play the game for free and not even get a battle pass if you don't want it, but you're heavily incentivized to get a battle pass given that you will be playing anyway and this will get you things.
Like if we're talking games that I can download and start playing for free that they want to throw ads into, I don't have that big of a problem with it.
Yeah.
I got the game for free. I don't feel so privileged and indignant that I'm going to look at this thing I got for free and be upset that someone's trying to market through it.
Yeah. But what if it breaks the lore?
I don't care.
So you don't mind then?
If I did not pay for it.
You didn't pay for it, you're okay with the ads breaking
Because my wallet is front and foremost in my mind and in my brain. Yeah. If I got it for the low.
Yeah.
What's an attitude?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. It's like where's the line? Because like that's what the suits at EA. That's really what they're looking for. It's like what is that line? Well,
I'm telling you guys right now. Give us some games for $5.
Where does like Alec break on his tolerance?
I break immediately, guys. I fold immediately. Yeah. You give me Street Fighter 7 for like $5. You can run whatever ads you want. Yeah. You can run ads between games. $5.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's just going to start soon anyway. Like Street Fighter will just run they don't care.
If they did it, I paid for Street Fighter 6. They do that in Street Fighter 6.
What do you do?
It's too late to get a refund.
That's actually another scary thing.
I'm gonna yell.
What'd you do? It's like
I'm gonna yell and scream. I'm gonna
scream in your room.
I'm be
Shake
mad.
Shake your fist.
I'll be mad.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Cool. Yeah. EA is gonna have ads. I can't wait for our dystopian future. Do you have any more game stories?
I have no more gaming stories.
Game stories? Okay, well, I've got a movie one.
What you got?
What the hell do people want out of movies?
I couldn't tell you.
No, really, I want to know. What the hell do audiences want out of movies? This is regarding the new movie, The Fall Guy, the one that features Ryan Gosling. You may or may not have heard about it. But according to this article, that's the question on my mind this week as I look at the box office numbers for The Fall Guy, the new action comedy that also serves as the unofficial kickoff to the summer movie season. Variety says the film fell just short of expectations with $28.5 million at the weekend box office in North America. And so the movie's budget was something like $130 million.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This movie. I had to look it up.
So, it stars Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt. The discussion point here is that basically the movie industry or the film industry is really struggling with people not like going out to the theaters to support these movies that are not, this isn't a superhero movie, right? It's not like a sequel to something popular. Like this is the Barbie movie 2 or Dune 2 or, Spider-Man 3. It's just sort of a fun, new movie that's well reviewed, actually. I have not seen it yet. I would like to maybe see it soon. People say it's really good. It's a pretty fun movie that like kids can enjoy it, families can enjoy it, but also like, adults and stuff can enjoy it. So, they said there's not that much profanity and not really that much sexual innuendo, so it's not just kind of just a dirty movie or whatever. Right. So like, they say it appeals to men and women as well.
Sounds
like
the perfect movie.
For both. So like, what do people want? Why is a movie like this still kind of struggling, particularly in an age where, we're always very critical, we as in, the broader internet of like, oh, the movie industry's dying, Marvel needs to stop all these superhero things, I'm tired of that, I'm tired of sequelitis and all this stuff. So when something like this comes out, why is it not, better supported in the theater? That's the conversation.
Yeah, okay.
So, okay. Any thoughts on this?
Actually, I do have some thoughts on this. So I remember when I saw the Fall Guys trailer in theaters, and I said, "Ooh, this movie looks interesting." My thought process on the movie was, if I had to see it, I wouldn't mind. But I also did not feel a compulsion to like, oh, I'm definitely gonna make sure I buy a ticket to go see this movie.
Yeah,
and it's weird because I feel that way about a lot of movies nowadays where, oh, that looks pretty good. Am I going to make sure I go see it?
Yeah.
No. I find a lot of times the only movies I go out my way to see now are either like a Marvel or like DC flick, and sometimes not even those, or or just some like hotly anticipated like huge box office trilogy sequel in some way, the Star Wars, the Dunes, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the Fall Guy looked good enough where I was like, I shouldn't have forgotten about it. Mm-hmm. But I never saw social media buzz about it.
I saw a few like Ryan Gosling memes about it. I saw that.
I mean, he's always going to be worth a picture or two.
There was some prank they did like the premiere or something where they busted out of some glass and surprised somebody. But like,
there was no virality to it, right?
Yeah. So do you think maybe that's what it takes for like movies to really do well now? Is like you got to kind of have the big meme or
because like the Fall Guy to me looked like a traditionally good movie. It had all the hallmarks of something that people the general populace would enjoy watching.
Yeah.
But the fact that it didn't, I don't think it really had a viral moment online, and I think that's what movies need more than just being good movies, more than just dry. There's an extra checkbox now that's kind of more important than all the other checkboxes. Well, okay, it's not the most important because Sony thought that checkbox worked with Morbius, and they found out people still didn't want to watch it. Yeah. But there's this like social media bare minimum you have to meet with your movie in order to make sure people make it a priority to go see that movie.
Yeah.
And I think things like a lot of those Marvel movies, a lot of the big box office kind of sci-fi flicks like Dune and stuff, they always make sure they hit their social media numbers.
Yeah.
People are already saying in the comments on this, I can't wait to go see this. I've already bought my tickets. I'm so excited. I literally forgot The Fall Guy was coming out because, one, I don't watch enough movies to catch their movie trailers in theaters, and two,
Yeah.
like I don't know where they were marketing this movie.
Yeah, at least certainly not enough online. You know, something that's actually kind of interesting I've thought about too is since cable has kind of begun, you know, has I don't say gone, but cable's been kind of on the decline.
I do not have a cable subscription,
And yeah, most people
will.
don't have a cable subscription. It's tough to ensure that the general average person sees a trailer for your movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we're all watching on Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever the subscription service is, but in many cases, those either won't have ads or the ads that they have are like just for their other shows or something.
Just for their platform.
But you can't kind of just get general. Like, I remember as a kid, you'd see just so many movie trailers just through TV.
Yeah.
Just watching TV and there's just movie trailers for the new Harry Potter movie or something. And every little new movie, like, that's how it was. And these days, like, you can't really, not everybody's in the same place like they were with cable.
Yeah, there's different social media hubs that people use. Mm-hmm. The Facebooks, the Twitters, the YouTubes,
the Reddit, stuff like that.
The Reddits, the Truth Socials.
I wonder if there's movie trailers on that. So, you know, it does suck to see this. I will say, though, it's not even that it's like this is like a poor performance. It's just not like
is it considered a flop?
No. So their anticipation was 30 million that weekend. So they actually only just fell short of that. But I think no one's really calling it a flop so much as just like it's just not doing as well as a big box office type of movie would. I think one reassuring thing though is that the reviews being good lets you know that this movie was not super successful, but that doesn't say anything about its quality.
Yeah, the quality was still there.
Whether or not it's good or bad, you know, movies can be good and movies can be bad and still both do huge numbers. Like, it just means it's a successful movie, not like a good or a bad movie. So, I guess I do worry that, like, what does that mean if you're kind of a smaller film studio? Is this like maybe this might be a little demoralizing or discouraging?
I think it might be a bit. I think in a weird way, I think it's scarier for larger studios and smaller ones. Mm-hmm. Yeah, larger studios, they put more money behind their movies. When they take a loss, it's much more massive than when a smaller studio does.
Yeah.
And it's the most important thing I think at play here is the marketing of the movie, how viral it is online. And in some ways, that's more of a level playing field than how it was with cable. Mm-hmm. You know, you had to be a big budget studio to get a lot of cable advertising. You don't have to be the biggest to go viral on Twitter or to like take out a bunch of YouTube ads.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of neat. It's like a story about, you know, what's the modern movie industry struggling with? Like, how does it kind of move forward?
We're in a very weird time, but
people seem less enamored by movies for movies' sake. It's like now, whether or not we see a movie is almost based on like the camp that you're in. Like, are you kind of hate watching it? Are you know, avidly rooting for its success? Or is it just like a sequel that you're just familiar enough with to go to? But it seems like maybe there is, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago maybe, mm-hmm. There's less like of the friends don't just plan to go see movies as much. Kind of anecdotal for me. Like, that's not, I've observed that. I don't know if that's everybody's situation, but it seems like that's less so the case. Like, people are just more, I'll just wait till it shows up on streaming and maybe catch it at some point. But going to the movies is maybe less of the social activity that it once was, particularly post-COVID. I think COVID gave us an excuse not to go to movie theaters. Like, oh, you just can't go. It's like, you know, you got to wear a mask or it's like closed. And coming out on the other side of that pandemic, we just are a little bit less, we don't think of the movie theater as the primary way of, you know, enjoying ourselves maybe on the weekend.
The movie theater is it's a social experience. For a lot of people, in order to go to the movie theater, they have to have someone to go with.
Yeah.
Somebody has to send the initial message, usually a text message or a DM. Hey, want to go see so-and-so this Friday? Me and so-and-so, we're going to go see this movie this Saturday. You want to come with? But when it comes to movies like The Fall Guy, and this is the case for a lot of movies right now, they haven't like they haven't crossed that line that makes someone say, oh, this looks like fun. I'm going to call so-and-so and see if they want to go see it.
Yeah, maybe it's that second step. It's not that you don't think it's a good movie, but it's just like, is it a good enough one for you to like invite your friends and kind of like, plan a whole thing around?
And right now, the way I think people judge whether or not that is something worth doing is if it has a lot of social media buzz. I don't have to try and sell you on seeing Dune 2 because I mean, everybody and their mother had to see marketing for Dune 2. I can just say, hey, we're going to see Dune 2 this weekend, you in? And that's an easy message to send. Yeah. But for the Fall Guy, I am not confident everyone in my social circle even knows what this movie is
and would be willing to.
Do I even bother with this message? Do I even remember to send the message out?
Yeah. Kind of sucks. I hope that, it can recover. It seems like it's going to be a sort of movie that maybe will stay in theaters for a pretty long time and just be a good, easy watch, and maybe this first weekend doesn't actually spell doom and gloom for the whole thing.
I do want to check the movie out. Do I want to take out time and set up a day with a bunch of friends?
Might be a tougher sell.
I mean, I'll go watch it myself.
Yeah.
Be that one weird guy who goes to movies alone.
Yeah. If you do, I'd like to know how it goes. I mean, I might have to see it myself as well. And this is also my little minor rant here too is, and I understand it's hypocritical as I'm the person who brought this story to the pod, but there is that kind of hyper fixation on like the numbers here where it's like, Metacritic scores are everything, or like the box office weekend numbers. Because like I know there's those Twitter accounts, and I honestly can't stand them. There's like the culture thing or whatever, and like discussing film, Culture Crave, discussing film, all those ones.
Okay, yeah.
Where like you'll just see their tweets, and it's just like, here's this movie's box office numbers, and it's kind of all the comments and all the talking point is just, did it overperform or did it underperform? Is it like mid or is it peak? Did the movie that everybody says was going to do well or did it not? And like, it's almost like people are kind of more focused on just looking at those metrics and using it as either like, ha ha, I told you so, this movie sucks, or ha ha, I told you so, this movie is great. And it's, like I said, like neither thing says anything about the movie. It's just more like, did I get to prove the group that I don't like wrong about what they said, this movie was going to do. So,
I think posts like that, they're purely just for engagement. In a sense, they're really in bad faith because the scholar in me says, well, when someone presents me with these are the box office numbers for this movie, now I want to look at the circumstances around release. I want to know, okay, what day did it release, or what holidays were in place? Like, what was the marketing of the movie? What was the marketing like around the movie? Did they spend more than the average? Did they spend less than the average on marketing?
Yeah.
How and where? There's so many factors taken into account before you even.
And you know what sucks about all that? Is that the tweet just says a quick sentence.
Yeah.
And that's, God, I'm going to rant about this whole thing. I'll keep it short. That's just one of those things that I do not love, is that the tweet is just going to say, this movie made this much. And then they'll also add, its budget was this much. So it was a fail. Like, and that's all the tweet says. It says nothing else about like like all those questions you're asking, the rest of the story, not mentioned. It's just, here's a number or like a Metacritic score. And now it's just quote tweet to your heart's content and respond and argue about like whether or not so-and-so is good or bad or overrated or underrated.
It's too simplistic when the two answer choices are it either is good or a flop. It's like, well, that means that, and so people are like, I can be either right or wrong, but that means that you break this down, it's like a 50-50 when there are so many different like variables at play here, and there's so many conclusions you can come away with. This is not a matter of whether the movie is good or a flop. This is a matter of
it's become more personal at that point. Yeah, where people are just it's camps and like, I was right and you were wrong.
Everybody just wants to be right for the day on Twitter. Everyone just wants to have more upvotes than they did yesterday.
Well, anywho, that's all the stories for me.
I think that's all I have.
Pot of Greed questions then.
It's time for the pot.
Viewer questions. We have new ones. People have things to say.
Is it the same people or is it new people?
Probably definitely at least one of the same people. Likely
no.
basic nerd. I would not be surprised to see a question or two from him.
Okay, I got one.
I say him. I don't know if it's him, but probably him.
Wow, so girls can't be basic nerds? You wild.
They're probably not basic.
What are some themes for future structure decks types characters? So I guess we should give our thoughts on what they should be or what we think Konami will do.
Probably our thoughts is what they would like to know.
Okay, so let me. I don't even.
I wanted to see an Atlantean one after the Fire Kings.
Oh,
I just thought that would be
cool.
like a thematic,
Yeah.
water versus fire. I think Konami should actually do more paired off structure decks. They haven't done that in a very long time.
That's true. The pairs.
It's just like, let's have like fire versus water, light versus dark, giving it some theming like that I think would help. It seems to me like character-wise, I'm not sure.
It
I don't know who
feels
comes next.
tough. I mean, we did Jack, we did Soul Burner.
The Jack one was cool. I feel like it wasn't as well received. I don't know if it was badly received. I think people liked it fine. I wonder how it performed in sales and stuff. I guess Konami will never tell us.
Konami doesn't tell us these things, so we have no way to know.
I guess if there was to do another character, who would it be?
I have absolutely no clue because I would have never. I would have never picked Jack and Soul Burner out of a lineup as, hey, these are our next structure decks. I don't even know how they chose those guys, so I definitely don't know how we choose anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they do a Yusei. I think that'd be a terrible. It'd probably be a not very accessible structure deck, given that like Synchrons are kind of hard to play, but there's enough cards.
Like, I don't even know. I honestly just don't know. You know what? They should do a Joey one with a line of Red Eye support that makes sense.
Oh, one that actually works?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, it's kind of scary, actually. We haven't gotten the announcement of the next structure deck.
No, we have not.
And the last structure was Fire Kings. That came out the end of last year. Mm-hmm. And, we're in May, and there's not, a...
I mean, Japan's doing those tri-deck things. I think that's their current structure deck.
Do you think we could start getting those?
Maybe.
They revealed, this wasn't a story, but they revealed the Evil Twins structure deck lineup recently. And it's just like the Cyber Dragon one, it's pretty loaded. It's got the hand traps, it's got the staples, it's got the stuff in it. So maybe they give us that little 3-way triple triad deck.
I feel that, at least in the US, I think Konami would be hesitant to release a product like that because there will not be any new cards in it. Mm-hmm. And I think they'd be worried about, how do we get someone to buy two? How do we get, what we don't, I don't think they would know what the draw is.
They don't want you to be able to get a single one and have everything, do they? They want you to buy a couple of these.
And so, what reprint do you stick in there that makes someone want to buy this? Because Konami is so into just marketing to the current established Yu-Gi-Oh players with these types of products.
Do you think maybe they're just going to give up on structure decks? I know that this sounds extremely doomer, and not to suggest that that'll just happen, but it's May, and they haven't even announced the next one. So it's typically we get about 2, maybe 3 structures per year. Last year we got 3, and most years we tend to get 3. And so it's kind of if they haven't even announced one yet, are they just changing the structure of structures?
I would have suggested Konami NA making their own structure deck, but we kind of saw what happened with the Egyptian God decks.
Yeah, that's true. Well, all I'll say is the character I would like to see is maybe give Yusei a crack. I think it'd be a tough structure to pick up and play, but it is called a structure deck. So, Alec, you disagree?
I still don't even know who's the best choice. I just hate the idea.
Not Synchrons.
I'm not a fan.
Okay, I don't know.
And you're saying nah, man, I can't.
My honest take is let's just make an Atlantean water one. Just count. It's the opposite of fire. It's a fun thematic thing.
Yeah, I just
easy.
To me, structure decks have to have new cards in them. They just do, and that means Japan has to announce it, and they haven't. So I don't know what to do.
I think they went through all of the structure decks they did in that poll, that one structure poll. I think they've finally done all of those. Have gotten support in some way. So maybe they'll do another poll. Something
I think could be cool is because they could still continue just revisiting old structure decks. I'd love to see updated vampire and warrior and spellcaster structure decks.
Get
You
back
could
to
take
that. Do them in pairs.
yeah, you get the you
Like
can
they were before.
give them the new support cards that they've gotten in the past, and you give each one like 1 or 2 brand new cards and call it a day.
Yeah.
Like is it like new, fresh and sexy? No.
I don't think it needs to be.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
I think that I would prefer that. You know what? I'm with your idea. If they're not going to do the water deck to counter the fire deck, which would be really cool, then the next best thing is just go back to that old stuff and just zombie versus, whatever. It was zombie versus
I think
dragon
zombie
was the
and
first
dragon,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. And just start doing this. I wouldn't mind it.
I don't know what you do with like the fire and the
When you do get to fire and water, you got to figure something else out. Because that was like Infernal Flame Emperor and
Yeah.
the Levia Dragon.
I don't know. And
They
I don't
listed.
know what you do with the XYZ deck.
Let's not talk about that
The
one.
Sphinxes and stuff.
All right, well, here's my question. This is, have you ever played Fuck, Marry, Kill? The game?
That sounds sick, Paul.
This is
what
not
are you
Fuck, Marry,
doing?
Kill. This is, one gets support, like one gets meta support, one gets merch, and one gets no support ever again.
Okay.
Heroes, Toons, Harpies.
All right.
So
all right,
one
all
of these is going to get like meta level support. Like it's going to be like top in tournaments. The other one gets to have like merch, as in like mats, sleeves, maybe more merch. And then one will never be supported again
All right, I'm ready.
in either of the other two. They'll never get merch or support. All right, what are your picks?
All right, check this out.
Okay.
Harpies get meta level support.
Okay.
All right. Then heroes get merch, and then Toons never get support again. Konami, take notes. Take notes.
Okay. Mine was going to be, I think, now that I think about it, I think I agree with you. Yeah. I think let's give Harpies meta level support, Toon merch, because I think that'd be good for like marketing.
Oh no, I
Or sorry, no, yeah, here, sorry, yeah, Harpies get meta level support, Heroes get merch, because like sure, why not?
Mm-hmm.
And we just never see another Toon card.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, actually, yeah, I changed my answer. Harpies get support, Toons get the merch, because I think that would be better for marketing. Like it'd be cooler.
You
can
think
have that.
Toons are better for marketing than heroes?
I mean, look,
You're gonna take
though.
just like Pegasus's random little archetype that is never has never come into its own versus the premier.
But listen, which one's actually technically gotten more merch as it is? Because like they've made Toon Blue Eyes like Funkos and shirts and stuff.
And it is a travesty that heroes don't have more merch.
I suppose that's true. So why do you want Toons to just never get anything again? People like Toons.
Yeah, but look at them. Like,
Well, what about them?
they're like,
What's that mean?
Toons have always been bad.
Yeah, well,
Like, they've been bad. At worst, it's completely forgettable. I don't even know if, like, clearly Konami never wants Toons to actually be good.
I think that is the problem with a lot of these legacy things is they feel like they purposefully keep it.
Like they keep it bad. And the thing is, like, would we even want to see a format where Toons are meta? That does sound like
It could be
hell.
a bit of a nightmare. Like depending on how, because like with Toons, they always gotta kind of make it obnoxious in order to make it good, and that might be.
Because that's actually my primary reason for keeping both it and Heroes out of the meta spot. I don't think anytime those decks being meta are fun in Yu-Gi-Oh.
It becomes insufferable.
Like
I mean, I don't think the Heroes. The one time they were meta, they were fine.
They
Like,
were
the light
incredibly
hero beat
annoying.
thing, whatever. Okay, cool. Well, the next question, if I can get it.
That's actually the only reason I put Harpies in the merch section in as the meta section. I would have preferred to put them as merch, but I just did not want Heroes or Toons to be meta.
Okay. Oh yeah, I guess your question next.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Should Konami do best of one format in the West?
I would be down to try it.
Yes.
I think that if they do it though, people will just complain.
They will, and then they'll start playing again. So I'll just say yes.
I'd like to see it. I mean, I think this question was probably based off of how like YCS Japan was like this huge event and they had like best of one. I'm a best of one like fan. I won't say like I'm a best of one like, it must be like this or whatever, but I think that there is There are two reasons why I like Best of One. The first is that I think it actually captures dueling at its like core appeal for me, which is that you build a deck, I build a deck, and we duel once, right? Like in the show, Yugi and Pegasus didn't play a best of three. Or, Yugi and Mary, they didn't play like best of three. It's like, oh, well, I lost game one, let me side. They didn't do that. It's just the stakes are there and we're going to play one duel and you better put your all into it. Whereas I think in, the TCG in real life, obviously there's kind of more of a strategic component to side decking, but I think that I like what it, like immersion wise, I feel like I'm more like in the duel when it's like one or done, like one and done. Like this is it.
So I do have, even though I did vote yes for Best of One, I do have like misgivings with the idea of Best of Ones in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Okay.
So right now, a lot of people who like Best of Ones in Yu-Gi-Oh are citing Master Duel as their reason for why they like Best of Ones and why it can work. Mm-hmm. But in Master Duel, you can simply queue up and play as many games as you want before you ever stop. But in tournament, there's a set number of rounds, and how many times can you say that you had a straight like 8 satisfying games on Master Duel?
Yeah, only sometimes.
Like if you went and paid your money for a tournament and you had to sit down for 8 best of ones, like
it would be a lot sackier and it might make you walk away with a more sour taste.
Because there's
your results
a limit.
Feel like out of your hands.
You go to locals, it's 4 rounds, and that's that. You bricked the first game. You got sacked the second game. You made some mistake in the third game, and then you bricked in the fourth.
Yeah, that could happen. Yeah, I guess it's true. Best of 3 gives you like more chances at just getting that win, or at least getting to play. Yeah, I mean, I think they could try out Best of One. It might be a neat side format.
It's like that's actually why I still voted yay for Best of One, because I thought it'd still be interesting to try.
I think like public event.
Yeah,
sort of style.
or even just kind of like how they did the whole battle pack top cut thing for just a period of time. I do think if they just went to Best of Ones for like one season, like I don't think it would kill Yu-Gi-Oh.
Because the best players are going to play either way.
I mean, yeah, they're going to play one way or another.
They'll be fine.
I would like to see what would actually happen.
Yeah. Okay, and now for me, the final question.
What you got?
Do you think card sets come out too quickly? It seems like one is barely out any time before there's another.
Okay, I think that
are there too many Yu-Gi-Oh sets
largely depends on how fast you build your deck and how much you should get out of your deck once you build it.
I agree. I think where to start with this? Do I think there are too many Yu-Gi-Oh sets? Yes, but the reason it feels that way to me is because there is nowhere to play a lot of the decks. So I'm going to get into my same age-old argument here, which is that Legacy Destruction is seen as a not great set because even though it has lots of cool archetypes and stuff, many of them are not positioned to beat Snake Eye,
right? So
are thus seen as kind of useless and bad and terrible, right? I'm not saying that like I feel that way about them, but it's like, oh, if you think about Yugi's Sarcophagus deck, the Sarcophagus Light deck, or the Ancient Gear deck, or something like that, they're not really expected to like do super well in the meta.
I just don't know why I had to specifically choose 2 decks in my deck box right now.
Well, I mean, there's times picking 2 decks that are in Legacy Destruction.
Yeah, he targeted me.
So, like, people will view Ancient Gears as, like, not playable, right? And there's not, like, a side format of any kind where you can use them. And so what ends up happening, kind of when you zoom it out some, is there are sets that are just releasing, and the archetypes in them are not getting any play.
None.
And then another set just comes out next month, and it feels like you didn't get any time with the first one, but you were never going to get any time because it wasn't, like, good enough to compete at the top level, and there's no mid-power level format for it to play in. So when you look back on the year, you see that, wow, like 10 or 12 interesting new things came out this year. Interesting, but that's like where it stopped.
Right.
Does that, maybe that like lines up? I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know that necessarily speaks to the rate of release, but I feel like that's at least for me why it can sometimes feel like the game moves fast, but a lot just gets left behind anyway.
And I think it matters how you it's a weirdly nuanced question. So I also think that how you choose to play and interact with Yu-Gi-Oh decides how you feel about the rate of product releases. Mm-hmm. If you're the type of person who's very competitive and only you play your decks for the format and all you care about is competing and winning at Yu-Gi-Oh at its highest levels, I think a lot of product releases to you are completely useless.
Yeah, it's out of your vision.
So to you might think like, well, this is too many like products. A lot of these products don't even make a difference. Like, why does Legacy Collection come out if it didn't like help me in my matchups and the way I play Yu-Gi-Oh? I think on the opposite end of that, you have someone like me who I'm always looking for the next piece of legacy support. I'm always looking for the next that little piece of support that got announced in Japan and some like V-Jump thing that'll make one of my niche bad decks like interesting again. Mm-hmm. So to me, products can never come out fast enough because I'm always looking for that next little piece of support. Like, I want my Summon Skull for my Shanks Kafka's deck. What is that coming out in? The Dark Magician, what set is that coming out? And I don't know. Release more products faster so I can get to them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I've gained more of an appreciation for those side decks in recent years. Like, I used to kind of be like a meta fiend not a meta fiend, but like I was very like tuned into just what does this set do for the tournament scene? And that's like that was the relevant thing to me. But now I'm finding I don't mind a lot of products. I just want the products to be playable somewhere. That's all I want. Like, I want people to have a place to play Ancient
You have
Years.
A kitchen table.
Yeah, but I want everyone to have, because not everybody even has that. Like,
yeah,
has
homelessness
like
is a real thing. Well, that's what you meant.
Not everybody has like a kind of an old friend group of people that they can like play. Like, it's like you and I, like the other day we were playing King Sarcophagus versus Sarcophagus of Light, like a fun duel, like just pure Horus versus the Yugi deck. Like, I wasn't playing whatever the Horus stun Travis, that little nightmare with Kashtira and skill drains. I'm literally just playing the Horus deck, and we had a lot of fun. But like, not everybody really gets to have that, and it just sucks when like you look at even these deck builder sets where these decks they'll come out. They're not really always great, or
okay, you can say mementos. Like, you don't have to just beat around the bush.
Apparently, they're getting better. They're getting some decent support that's going to help them out. I don't know if that's true. So, do I think that the sets are coming out too fast? Not too fast. I just think that I want more. I want them to get more space to breathe and like formats to be played in.
I need them to come out faster.
Yeah, Alec is like, they're not coming out fast enough.
I do. When a card gets announced in Japan, I want it already.
That gets into the whole like OCG, TCG aligned releases, which I am a big fan of, and I think that we might as well just start doing that, because it's stupid having to wait for this V-Jump Kuriboh thing to get imported who knows when.
Like,
and every
archetype gets at least
gets
half
that.
A year.
Yeah, it could be. Well, that's the thing. It could be in like a month. It could just randomly be in a set like in Battles of Legend or something.
That is true.
But also
Kuribohs are Battles of Legend.
It could also be like 9 months or 12. Like, who knows? Right, for a patchwork story, right?
That's true.
So who's to say? Anyways, that is all of the questions.
Those are our questions, which means that is the end of today's episode of The Pod of Greed.
Pod. I always say pod. The Pod of Greed with the Pot of Greed. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure that you leave your own submissions for the pod down below at the link in the description. Leave us a positive review as well.
And don't forget to enter our contest to win your very own Pot of Greed.
Ceramic, authentic, not the broken handle one we have here. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Pass turn.